We don't do a cool intro like you guys.
It's very low budget here.
Yeah, we are. We
haven't
are
got
as
a
low
10-minute
budget as we
song?
can get.
I like the intro because you can relax for a minute while the video clip's playing and chill out.
That was really nice, where we just kind of just sat, listened to the intro, was very quiet, and then when it ended, it was just like, okay, and now we're here, and I was like, oh wow, this is class.
Yeah, it's a good way to go in. Rather than just being like, now we're live. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Can be done.
Yeah, we are as low budget as low budget gets, baby. But
It still looks good on here.
yeah,
We could
well,
start doing our shows on Discord, Joe, to be honest.
I like cheeseburgers.
Heck yeah.
I like cheeseburgers.
So are we actually live right now? Are we starting?
We are actually live right now, believe it or not. Andy is about to indulge the people that were making fun of us in the comments of our video about cheeseburgers because we are huskier gentlemen. Andy is going to... He's been saving this for live.
Andy, I've got a question about the burger. Do you keep the pickles on, or do you eat the pickles?
You gotta
Definitely pickles, man. No onions, though.
Yeah,
Okay.
I definitely agree with you. Hate onions.
Yeah, I'm
See,
not...
I like pickles, but not on my cheeseburger at Macca's.
So it's interesting. I have to be in the mood for it. Sometimes I take them off. Sometimes I leave them on.
It depends on how many pickles they put on something.
It's true.
Because, like, I'll get a sub from somewhere, and it's literally just, like, a jar, handful, just tossed in, like, half of a sub that's, like, this big. And it's like, I'd want to taste some other things here.
So that's the problem with pickles, that they're very overpowering. So if you do decide to put them on there, that's pretty much what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you guys some questions just because I want to get to know you guys a little bit. And
This is literally the first thing I've eaten all day.
really,
Yeah.
wow. Are either of you married, or do you have children? Either of you?
No.
Does a four-legged furry friend count as a child?
We'll give it. I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Depends on the temperament, because sometimes, like, I feel like my cats are worse than my child at some points.
Oh no, she's very well behaved, so.
Yeah, there are some moments where I'm like dealing with my kid, and she's like crazy, and then she winds down and chills and just goes and does whatever, and then the cats are like puking on the carpet, and then they're like plucking at the carpet, and then they're like running around chasing each other, hissing. I'm like, can we chill here for a second?
Yeah, you're making it sound really appealing.
I'm eating.
I like to sell the dad vibe here.
Yeah.
You don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but what do you guys do for a living?
I sell video games from home, so I got a pretty cool job. On top of that, it's YouTube, Twitch. But yeah, I work from home selling video games on eBay mainly, or selling to collectors on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. And yeah, I've been doing that for 3-4 years now, and that's awesome. I love it.
So do you?
I don't make as much money as when I used to work full time, but I have more free time than ever, and I don't have any stress in my life. It's awesome.
That's a good like life hack. There is like, if you find something that you're doing and enjoy, and you're financially stable, and you can do whatever, like, that's the key right there.
100%. If you're happy and you're working, you've just like ticked all the boxes, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Enjoy what you enjoy what you do, and you'll never work a day in your life.
It's true though. I wake up every day is just a great day, you know. I don't not look forward to any day. It's awesome.
That's great. What about you, Joe? What do you do?
I'm a male prostitute.
I love it. I'm sorry. Are you serious?
I'm Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, duh. How do you think I got all this freaking treasures, bro? I'm the best there
He doesn't
ever
do
was.
it for money. He does it for goods.
Well, remember how you say you want to love what you do, and every day you got to wake up. Smile.
$20 is $20.
He wakes up out of bed fresh and just takes a nice little picture, and
And that's all. Yeah, you know. No, I'm a financial aid specialist. I work at a university.
Oh, I would not have put you on that job there. I don't
No,
know what job I
most
would have
people
put you
wouldn't.
on, but that was like one of those. You tell me what you do, and it's like, oh, really?
I've done a million things though. I'm one of those people. I've had just like every job in the world, so I know a little bit about everything. So I'm useful in a lot of situations. Like I used to work at Radio Shack for a few years, which, man, believe it or not, that was really like useful when it came to like my music equipment and learning how to record things and using computers and hooking. Like I just learned so much random crap about composite cables and component cables and all. Like there was just, yeah. So that stuck with me forever. And then I used to for a while I worked at a swimming pool company. So I just know like a lot of weird stuff about water chemistry. Fucking shit like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like you just like it's funny. Like
The Radio Shack one, I'm like, that's cool. The pool one, I'm like,
hey, it's good to know, you know, like I don't know. I just know a lot about pools. It's funny.
I mean,
yeah.
So to know stuff about pools is, I mean, even my sister just went through like a whole disaster with her pool, mainly because she has no idea what she's doing and doesn't care what anybody says. She knows best. But it's been a nightmare to just sit back and watch her just spend all the money just trying to make it work, and it's like that's
very expensive.
That's not the way you do it.
Well, if you learn enough about pools, eventually you just learn you shouldn't get one. It's like a money pit that never ends. And like at some point, what ends up happening is everybody is like just spending all this money and time maintaining it, and like no one's using it, and everyone just gets like sick of it after a while. That just always happens.
So that's
so
how
you spend
keep going.
$100,000 to add 10,000 to the house value.
Yeah. Actually, pools don't add value to the house; they actually hurt the house value. Because some people find pools to be like
a job,
the absolute worst thing. So if they would have been like, I love the house, and we would have bought it, but that pool, that's it.
I think it depends on the area too. If you had a house in like Florida or something with a pool, it's going to sell better than, you know, a house in New Hampshire with a pool.
I guess that's probably true. Yeah. So that's how you started your male prostitute career. Is like you started as the nice little pool boy.
Exactly.
He's the cabana boy.
It's true.
Excuse me, sir.
It was a natural career path progression for me, yeah.
Can you fill my lemonade?
What movie was that where it was like, it was the pool boy? And like, he was like, she said something, he was like, yeah.
I have no idea.
That was the the movie, was that Legally Blonde? That wasn't Legally Blonde.
I don't know.
That's not my strong suit.
How did you guys meet? Because I know Figsy's in Australia and you're on the East Coast with us. So how did you guys like come about?
I got this request from Australia to fly out there for a job. This is gonna be the theme of the whole freaking show now. I'm sorry, I should never have made that joke.
Just digging yourself a hole, making the backstory.
Oh gosh.
I'll let Joe answer this one because I think Joe met me rather than me meeting Joe.
Yeah. So basically, like, I was obviously into collecting PlayStation games. I don't know if you know that about me, but I
never would have guessed.
Yeah. So it's interesting because like that generation of gaming, PS3 and Xbox 360, was the time period of my life where I was like totally addicted to playing World of Warcraft, and that was like the only game I played like that entire time. Like I played PS3 and 360 at my friends' houses. Like I played games at their houses with them, but I never owned one or played any. And so like I just like knew very little about that generation of games. And I just started YouTubing one day, and I'm like, man, I need to learn about PS3. I've got to that point in my collecting where I was like, you know, I know enough about PS1 and PS2, but I don't know anything about this. So I started watching a bunch of videos. And sure enough, who popped up? Mr. Figsy Games over here.
Yeah, it doesn't make YouTube videos anymore.
Yeah. Right time, right place, though, for me. And this was like peak time where like you were still like releasing a lot of like videos about the console, and you were starting to do like PS4 rare games and stuff like that. And I just like binged his channel and a bunch of other people's channels, and just did a bunch of, used to comment on the videos, blah 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 blah. And then when he started the show, he was looking for guests, and I think I asked him. I think I asked to come on your show or something like that. Show up my VR collection or some shit. I don't even remember whatever episode I was on.
You weren't on Facebook. You're on Discord. So I think it was a matter of like me reaching out for guests, and you were just the first one. You're like, yeah, I can come on whenever you want, and I'm just, all right, let's get this guy on. He's got a cool name.
Fair enough. Yeah. And so
turned out he had a good mic and a good audio setup too, so that helped.
Yep, I had done streaming for a while. Back in 2000 something, I don't know. I hurt my back in my old job. One of the other jobs I had, I worked in a factory and I used to forge metal, which was probably the most badass job I ever had. So I used to heat up metal in this giant freaking furnace to thousands of degrees, and then I would smash it with giant machines and shit, like a freaking.
It's a pretty unusual job. You don't
Lord of the
hear
Rings.
much about. Well, I used to work next to a forge. It was a little office that was drywalled off from the forge, and we have to walk the whole way across the whole entire forge to get to the back.
That's kind of cool.
That's my extent of a forge.
I actually loved the job, believe it or not. It was just very peaceful, and it was one of those places it was so loud that you just got to put headphones on and listen to music all day, and no one would bother you, and they would just you just have to do work, and that was it. No one bothered you. I loved that job. But I broke my back because it turns out moving buckets of metal all day isn't really good for your back. Surprisingly, I didn't realize.
Yeah, it's probably pretty bad for it.
Yeah, so I was out of commission. I hurt it bad. I had to have surgery and stuff, and I couldn't do much for almost 2 years. And so I ended up getting into streaming a lot, and I bought all this camera stuff and the mic stuff. But then most things, once I got better and I got a job, I just didn't have time to stream anymore.
Yeah.
So that's why when he's like, "You want to come on the show?" I'm like, "Fucking yeah, man! I got all this stuff. I don't even use it anymore. Let's do this. Why not?" So,
If we rewind a little bit to the start of the show, I'm gonna rewind years. So I started collecting PS3 2014. I was just going out buying everything I could find. I met one guy on Facebook who was down in Sydney and he was doing the same thing. And we're like, where's all these games? We're struggling to find new games and no one's talking about this stuff. And we're like, let's make a Facebook group. All right. So we made this group called PlayStation 3 Collectors. And if you fast forward to today, there's 4,000 people in there and it's an active group and people will trade with each other throughout the world. And that sort of started all right, this is what I'm doing now. I'm going for a full PS3 set. I'm making it public in this group. I'm telling everyone I'm going for all these games and I'm happy to trade with everyone. So over the course of 5 or 6 years, I probably traded with 200 different collectors over the world. I went to Europe, went to North America, met a lot of these people. Collected a full PS3 set, including all the variants, every SingStar game, every Buzz game. I basically had 2,500 PS3 games, had this crazy collection, and no one was making YouTube videos about the PS3. That wasn't sort of I got 100 games, here's some of the cool ones. Well, I'm I've got every one. Why don't I make a full series on every rare and collectible PS3 game, starting from A, going to Z. So I did, and it was a 30 episode series, 15, 20 games a show, mainly showing this is the version of all the DLC. It's only released in this region. It's the one you want to pick up. Or here's a version that's only in English. This is the one you want to pick up. And fully going through the set. And those videos took off. Some of them got 10,000+ views today. And a lot of those games I spoke about are collectible and expensive today, which, kind of worked out that the predictions were right. Or people watched the videos and went out and bought them. I don't know.
Probably a little bit of both. I mean,
a little
if you
bit
have
of
that
both.
many eyes on it, I'm sure it influenced it at least a little bit.
Definitely, yeah. And then I started streaming on Twitch. I was playing PUBG at the time, and I got on the leaderboards, number 3 in the world on PlayStation, and that got people watching me. And I grew my Twitch account to 3,000 viewers, and I was streaming to 100 people every night, and that was doing well. So I got in a stream team called AF Gaming, and I was playing for them, competing in tournaments and stuff, and it was going really well. And then as a streaming content team, they're like, you can't just stream, you need to make content. but they got me making YouTube videos. And the videos were performing terribly. I was getting like 10, 20 views. I'm like, no one wants to watch this shit. I'm like, why don't I record my PlayStation collection? And I did, and the video got like 5,000 views overnight. I'm like, oh shit. All right, guys, I'm going to make PlayStation videos on YouTube because that seems to work. And I sort of stopped streaming because I got out of PUBG, and one thing turned into YouTube. And then I got up to 3,000 subs in a couple of years, and I was making 2 videos a week. And I'm like, I'm going to do a podcast. I reached out to one guy, Will, and he was going to be my first guest. And he's like, why don't we do the show together? So we started doing the show together. It worked all right for a while, but our personalities clashed in the end. And after about 6 months, I decided it wasn't really working out. And Joe was around at the time, and he'd probably been on the show 5 or 6 times. And our chemistry was just better, and we didn't argue and everything. So decided to get Joe as the host, and yeah, things have just, we're season 4 now, 150 episodes in, and yeah.
Yeah,
I'm still streaming on Twitch and stuff, and yeah, life's pretty cool.
When I came on, I had no idea who you guys were when I came onto your podcast. It was just kind of, I think Reggie made a post on Instagram, and I commented on it, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great. So then we scheduled it, through Figsy, I believe. And when I came on, I didn't know what to expect. I had never been on any podcast before or anything like that. But like, you guys just made it very effortless and very easy. The way you guys like back and forth, it like works very well. I did notice like you guys have just kind of like this good chemistry, good like balance.
Yeah, we almost have like a template for the show, the way it's going to go. Like at the 1 hour point, this is going to happen. In an hour and a half, this is going to happen. So we've got content ready. If we had a guest come on and they didn't speak for the whole show, you wouldn't know, because me and Joe will still talk for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's
you guys
the type
moved it along very, very well. It was nice.
Yeah, no, it's worked out pretty well. Where if we get a guest who wants to talk for 2 hours, we'll let them talk for 2 hours. So no, it's cool.
Yeah, that was nice. I enjoyed it. So it was like, well, maybe we should have a guest on every now and then, and like just change the dynamic a little bit. Because I mean, it is hard to kind of like, with me and Andy here, like I'm big into like game collecting and like watching content creators of game collecting and just like the whole scene. But Andy's like not really into that scene as much. So we get to like, we have differing opinions and views, and it's.
Well, that kind of works
I'm
too,
just
like
here, man.
because
Like,
you'll
I'm
get people
literally
watching
here.
who are into that.
Just here.
You know, I sort of, when I started the podcast, the idea wasn't to make a podcast. It was, let's make a show, and every week we'll get a different collector on, and we'll share that collection. So eventually, you know, hundreds of collectors will be shared, because I knew all these cool people that just didn't make content. And, you know, it's cool to talk to these different people, and especially people in different countries. Like we have had a collector from Brazil on, we've had someone from Finland on, we've had someone from Poland on, someone from the Netherlands, someone from Denmark, someone from South Africa, someone from India, and they've all got, someone from Iraq, and they've all got completely different experiences game collecting. And it's cool hearing these stories.
Yeah, that would be really interesting to have like different people on and like ask them, you know, different questions and seeing how it differs from you. And then since you talk to a bunch of people, you get to see how it differs from like 5 to 6 to 10 different people. It definitely is really, really interesting. I like that that aspect of it.
We all know what collecting in America or collecting in the UK or Australia is like, but yeah, when you get into different countries, it's like I had no idea how big Iran's video game scene was in the 90s. And because of the sanctions of America, they weren't allowed any video games, so they pirated them all. So they had every game back in the day, but it was all pirated versions, and that's what they did. And you know, Sony, Microsoft weren't allowed in the country, so they went and got fake versions of all these games. And it's cool to hear that just because they weren't allowed in there didn't stop gamers from gaming.
Yeah, I don't think anything can stop gamers from gaming, really. Gamers be gaming.
It's cool to hear like people in certain countries how like they said like, you know, a quarter for them at the arcade was like a freaking huge deal. Like it was like a lot of money to play a game sometimes in certain countries, and like I always found that fascinating too. I liked like we had guests from like Romania and stuff as well, and they're parts of the, you know, they say like they have like totally different nostalgia for old stuff than we do, because they just like Figsy said, they didn't have Nintendos or Sega Master Systems or anything like that, so they're all into like old PC stuff and the ZX Spectrum and the Amiga and all that, and I find that all fascinating too, like the Commodore, all that stuff. Like that's like a whole world of gaming that like I didn't experience growing up. I was just like Atari, Nintendo, Sega, stuff like that. So it's cool to like Figsy said, you get that worldwide perspective. I think that's the best thing about the show for sure.
Yeah, that
And then different demographics too. You're someone who's 60 compared to someone who's 30, regardless of where they're from, have a completely different experience.
Yeah.
I was just going to say Commodore 64 was a thing of beauty.
I have zero experience with the Commodore 64. Or
I mean,
or an Atari.
It's a hard sell to people who didn't grow up with it. Like I, you know, it's a little too retro, I think, for most people to go back and experience. But you know, that's it's a lot of fun. And like I said, I feel I'm old, older than probably you guys are, but like I got to grow up with Atari and experience it when it was like new, like the Nintendo. I saw that come out, you know what I mean? Like, so I got to enjoy all of the games as they came out, so I can appreciate all of them at the time, because I remember when I'm like, yo, this Atari was the shit. River Raid was amazing. Food Fight was so fun. Like Congo Bongo, all these games, like I had a great time playing them, so I can go back and enjoy them. But I don't know if I could, you know, you try out like a collection or something. Or just emulate them all on like a 1 megabyte SD card. You fit the entire library on there.
I've got no interest in going back further than the PS1, because I grew up with the PS1. Anything earlier than that doesn't interest me. But PS1 is nostalgic as hell, because I had that as a kid. Even the games I didn't play, they're nostalgic because they're the ones I didn't get to play as a kid.
You just made Andy so happy by saying that, because we just put out a segment today from last week about how the NES is overrated in terms of like how people love it as like collectors and stuff like that. So like I
think the number one thing people collect.
Like I can agree that the NES is like pretty overrated when it comes to like the actual playable games that are on the system for the broader audience, or for people to, you know, like a younger guy to take interest and go back and play it and be actually involved and enjoy playing it, versus like the PS1 or the PS2 or even, you know, like a Super Nintendo or N64, like something like that. So like Andy was on the one end and I was on the other, and I almost strangled this man.
And I think nostalgic plays a big role into it. If you ask your kids, they probably think the PS3 looks outdated, and the 360 looks outdated, and the Wii looks outdated, you know, because they grew up with the PS4 and the Switch, and that's as far back as they want to go, and that's fine, because that's how nostalgic works. In 30 years, that'll be the cool stuff for them.
Yeah,
remember playing Fortnite?
Yeah, yeah. I can agree. Like when you look back on like something that old, and you're just like, ew, gross. But I can see people enjoying it because of the world we live in of content creation, and so many people talk about Super Mario 3 or, you know, Metroid or any mainstay title for the NES to go back and, you know, play something like that, versus going and picking up like, I don't even know, like just a random NES title and be like, this looks cool, let's play it, and you put it in and it's literally the most dog shit game ever created, and it's like, cool, it doesn't even look pretty.
I'm gonna reiterate, no Metroid. No Metroid.
I don't think many people like the Metroid NES, but that could have been like the bullet that killed me there.
It's a good.
But I
game.
think you're right with the whole
It's
Mario
harder.
thing, because you can give a kid Mario from 30 years ago and they're gonna have a blast, you know.
That's what I'm saying. Like something that a kid can pick up and like actually get the grasp and play, versus me, a full-grown adult, picking up something, and my attention span's probably worse than a kid's. So if
Yeah.
I don't grab it immediately and I'm just like, nope, I have no interest.
Unless you're from the short era where their attention span's like a goldfish.
That's anybody born after 2010.
Yeah, modern kids, unfortunately. You see
Yeah.
the videos of like them playing games on the iPad and scrolling videos, and they're not even watching them. What are these kids? They're wild.
So
yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I just think game philosophy and design is so different that just even going back and playing games like that would not be comfortable. Like games back then, the whole point of them were they were small. First of all, they couldn't make like giant games, so they had to fit on little cartridges. And so what they would do is they would just make them balls hard, and like it would just be like a pure test of Twitch skill, like most of the games. And you know, you might have to play a game 500 to 1,000 times to beat the damn thing.
yeah.
And that's how it was back then. Like Ghosts and Goblins, or like some of these old shmups or anything like that. Like that's just how it was. Or freaking Ninja Gaiden. Oh my god! Like some of these, they're so hard. Some of these games. So, you know, I don't think that most players nowadays will go back and have the patience for that shit at all, man. They'll go play a game. They'll get a game over scream in the first 5 minutes and be like, "What is this? No, thank you. Game over."
Well, and
This
that's
game
like,
Well, to
over,
elaborate
right?
on that, Joe, like a lot of the reason those games were hard was because they're not designed for the NES, they're designed for the arcades. And the idea behind the game is to put as many quarters in as possible. So if you got to put 500 quarters in, that's a more successful game than one you can beat in, 4 quarters, for example. Where today, that's not a thing. You want the reviews to be good. So you want the viewer to have an enjoyable experience. So you don't want them to die 500 times because they're just going to complain about the game.
could you
Correct.
imagine The Last of Us on arcade?
That would be a weird experience.
Like 4 hours through, waiting for your turn.
That's what I was gonna say. You can't do modern games in the arcade because you'd have to have a bench in a movie theater with popcorn to sit there and watch the fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right.
45 minutes before you get to play. There's no way. You get to see my parents like, we gotta go. I'd be like, what do you mean we gotta go? I'm like, we just did the first cutscene there, friend. No, I just wouldn't work
I
for me.
feel like it's something that you like a modern thing like that. Like they have Tomb Raider, like the re-release of Tomb Raider. They have that in arcades. They have that at that Round One Amusements. It's like I don't know what it is. I didn't get to play it, but I would imagine that it'd be something at like a Dave and Buster's or something.
Yeah, it's not like a regular Tomb Raider. What was that? What did they call the game? It had the blue and the red guns.
Time Crisis.
Yes, Time Crisis. It's like the Tomb Raider adapt version of Time Crisis.
Oh,
Fun.
interesting.
I like gun games, so I'm down for any of that sort of thing.
I surprisingly just don't have that much like experience playing. Like the only light gun game that I'd played is Time Crisis in like the arcades, and obviously Duck Hunt.
You never played House of the Dead? You played those
Oh
ones?
yeah, I did
Really?
play House of the Dead like in arcades too,
Mm.
but I never got them for like the home console. Surprisingly enough.
They had a Terminator that was a light gun for the arcade too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had, you had like
Okay.
the little mini Uzi,
Yeah, you actually had the little machine gun.
and I think it had like a little
You're
like,
like-
recoil thing. In it.
Rat-tat-tat-tat. Yeah. Yeah, it was dope. So that machine is like one of those nowadays. It's like always broken if you go to an arcade. That's never works because it's like, or one controller works and the other one's broken. It's always
Yeah.
broken.
They have a really cool arcade near us here in Pennsylvania. It's called Timeline Arcade, and they have a bunch of just like the absolute classic arcade games, pinball machines. They have consoles in there too. Like they really like go all out to provide like that arcade nostalgia feel. It's fantastic.
And you pay by the hour.
And you pay by the hour. So like you
Oh,
go
that's
in
cool.
and you just play as many.
You just
as
play whatever you want.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. Yeah, because I don't know. It's like some of those like arcades, if you go to and they're still coin operated or whatever, like it's like, I'm like, you really expect me to spend $1 on this still? It's been 30 years, sir. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not giving you $1.
When you
to
own the
play
game at home.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
It's just
I go
bizarre.
in, I own half the games in the arcades these days. When I was gone, I was thinking about what modern games are on arcades, and the only two I can think of are Guitar Hero and Dance Dance Revolution.
Music games, yeah.
Yeah,
Rhythm
they
games
have
are huge.
they have what we were just talking about that actually when you were gone. They have like the re-release of Tomb Raider. They have that in the arcades. I don't think it's the game. I think it's probably like an adaptation meant for arcades, but they do have that in the arcades.
That's interesting. Probably like a side-scrolling, like one level or something.
Probably something like that. So
Oh,
I
man.
have a question here for you, Figsy, because we have to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a kangaroo? Like in the wild?
He lives in Australia. Of course he fucking has.
Like
It's
every
like asking if
day.
he's seen a squirrel.
Or a wallaby?
So where I used to live was Wallaby Central. So I've hit wallabies with my car multiple times.
Oh shit! Like
That's what
Walla
happens
was.
up here. But I moved recently and I drove a truck 3,000 kilometers from North Queensland to Melbourne, and I was driving one day at like 5 p.m. A big kangaroo, like 2 meters tall, jumped in front of the truck, and I swerved, and it then went on the other side. And I swerved back, and woo, just missed it.
Damn.
So like,
Runnings, they jump in front of headlights and they get blinded and then just stop.
They're like deer.
so
Yeah,
they
just
have
like
the
deer.
kangaroos over there are deer.
Correct.
I want to move to Australia now,
They're
man.
jumping
That
deers.
sounds
You know?
awesome.
The
They still jump like a meter or two. The wallabies don't jump much. The wallabies run more like
that
bulldogs or
answer
something.
did not disappoint me. I'm so glad we asked that.
I'm not even gonna bother asking about Rocco now.
This is
I've had run-ins with Kangaroos before. Who've ever seen them? They're the big emu-looking birds, but they're black with like the red thing on their heads.
oh yeah.
I used to live in a place where they were still native, and yeah, plenty of stories of Kangaroos and dogs. And
That's
there was a
That's
cyclone afterwards, and we had a baby, and I was trying to direct it to where our compost bin was, and then it ran at me, and our dog went after it, and yeah, that was a story.
My wife wants to know, because she had to go gluten-free recently, what is it like over there? Like, is gluten-free a thing over there, or is it not?
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. We got like a country full of foodies, so
Well,
every restaurant you'll have like gluten-free restaurants and gluten-free supermarkets and stuff. Like it's full on over here.
we have, like, very small, like, sections in the store that offer, like, bread or noodles or, like, stuff like that. But, like, half the time when we're in the store grocery shopping, like, we have to, like, search it out and, like, look at it. But
It used to be like that. I lived with a guy that was celiac intolerant.
yeah.
Like 15 years ago, it was hard to find that stuff, but today it's absolutely everywhere. Same with like vegan food. Like there'll be full aisles in the supermarket with vegan and gluten-free sections these days, and most every restaurant's got like a gluten-free option and things like that.
We have that, like, to an extent, but, like, she seems to, like, find, like, the TikToks or whatnot of these other countries that have all these, like, gluten-free options. Like, even at fast food restaurants, they have gluten-free buns for this and that. And
Yeah, Australia's like that.
we have none of it here, and she's just like, why?
You know what pisses me off? Is I can never find the extra gluten section. Like I'm like I want as much gluten as possible. Like I usually ask. I ordered. I'm like, do you have double gluten rolls,
I'm
sir?
eating for two here. One person,
Yes.
like, I should do that. Just like, I'll take her gluten.
How can I be
That's
a
right.
gluttonous bastard?
Yeah, I want as much gluten as possible. Do you sell actual like gluten spread that I can just put on my toast or something?
Give me more
I don't
gluten.
know. But I'm persecuted and I don't get a section, so whatever.
You guys have
You
Wegmans in New Hampshire?
Would you call me?
Wegmans?
I don't know what that is. So no,
It's
no,
a grocery
maybe.
store chain.
No, I don't. No, oh, New England, where I'm from, it's Market Basket. That's the only. They're king. Demoulas and Market Basket rule everything. There are like Walmart and there's Shaw's and Stop and Shop too, but like all of them closed because Market Basket rules all. Like Lord of the Rings, like Sauron burning on the hill, like no one can defeat them. They're just telling. We have in the town I live, we have 3 enormous Market Baskets in just my town. 3 of them. It's absurd.
Dude,
Have you got like Walmarts or anything?
Yeah, we got Walmart, and we have like smaller, like fancier places, like McKinnon's is what it's called. It's like a slightly upper scale supermarket.
Like Whole Foods or something? Or is that
Yeah,
just-
kind of like that. Kind of like that. And then we have like this place. My town. Well, I don't want to dox myself, so.
yeah, we don't want to do that.
I live in Vegas.
New Vegas, right?
Yeah, with next to the extra gluten section.
So I know you both are just like massive game collectors on like a level that I just could never ever be. How did you get to like the level that you are, and how do you go about like picking up new stuff for your collections?
10 years plus of collecting is the first step, and not having a partner and kids is the second step. To be like, no, you need to spend money on bills. I haven't got that thing on my shoulder, you know.
Yeah, I guess that helps.
Being young, irresponsible. I started this when I was 18, so like I don't drink. I spend all my money on video games. I don't go out. It's yeah.
That's a huge point. I don't think people understand about collectors or people who are into that. Like, they don't tend to spend a lot of money on vacations, fancy cars, fancy clothes. We don't give a shit. We just want games and more games, and then more expensive games. So that's like it's a very interesting thing. So first off, I would just want to say, like, I am not a serious collector. I used to think so. No, not anymore. Not after doing the show for as many episodes that we've done. Not even close. I'm a slightly above amateur level. I'm like warming the bench in the minors compared to some of the people who've been on this show. We have had guests on that are absurd. They have like full sets on full sets upon full sets upon full sets, and they have rare things that are never been seen by humans, like, ever. It's just like I don't know. So I try to. I'm very humble, I think, when I look at.
Aliens drop that off.
I don't think that I am like a crazy collector anymore. But like, I don't know. The way I pick stuff is I'm very, very selective, to be honest with you, at this point.
This sounds like a conversation you have with the missus. I'm not that crazy. These guys are way more crazy.
True. It is. I show them all the time. I'm like, thank God for Sid Cooper. Oh God, Sid Cooper, that guy, man. Thank you. Double Jump Games, man, keeping it real.
Oh,
His
yeah.
collection.
The last game rule or something.
His game room is.
Well, that's what I'm
absurd.
saying. So when people like that exist, how can I possibly say I'm a serious collector? No. I am not. No way. I'm an avid enthusiast for sure, but like, just, I don't know. But also, like, the idea, like, I could never go for a full set of anything really. Other than I did the PSVR, that was fun because it's a small set. It was like 150 games or something.
Very small.
I could do something like that. That's kind of fun or whatever. But like, oh man, going for like the full sets of the full libraries for systems and stuff, it's just wild.
It's not worth it either. I collected a full set, and I've since sold a lot of those games. All the shovelware titles, all the games that meant nothing to me. I went through and sold them all. I went through and, you know, when you buy like your standard edition DLC game of the year, I just kept the game of the year edition, sold all the standard ones. So I kept one copy of each game. And I'm happier looking at my collection this way.
Yeah,
I don't look
100%,
at, you know, I don't have 20 Madden games anymore. I don't have 20 FIFA games anymore, and it looks so much better to me. I'll never go for a full set again, but what I am into now is subset collecting.
Me too.
So like picking up all the Atelier games, or what I'm doing right now is trying to collect all the Pokemon games, which is a mammoth task in itself, but You know, it's not going for all the 3DS games, for example. So every game I'm picking up, I'm kind of interested in because I love Pokemon. So it's cool.
Yeah, I feel like you get to a point where, you accrue like this like I've done it a handful of times where I've just over months and like a year, I've just picked up a bunch of random stuff for some reason, and then I just sit and look at my game shelf and I'm like, why do I have some of this stuff? And I'll do like a clear out and I'll sell a whole stockpile of it, and then I feel much better looking at it versus like seeing a big list of games in front of me, like it's smaller and more curated and they actually mean something to me.
Yeah, that's.
I like to say the same, but I still got like 5,000 games. 3 rooms or 4 rooms of the house are full of video games. But yeah.
Yeah,
like
that is so wild.
That's a lot.
One of them's stuff for sale, but still. And then another one's like consoles and collector's editions. But
Yeah,
they take up a lot of
they
room.
take up a lot of space.
Yeah, it makes the room feel like it's full of video games, even though there's probably like only 100 pieces in there.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch back on another thing you asked on how you acquire new items. I find today I can't just leave the house and go and buy something I don't own because it's probably something I don't want. Like I have lists of all the games that I'm after on multiple systems, and 99% of them I have to go online and order. So it's a matter of looking for the cheapest deal and knowing prices and constantly looking like, oh, this is 20% after what it usually below what it usually goes for, so I'll buy this today. Or like just this week, as I mentioned, I'm going for the Pokemon games, and a Ruby popped up on eBay that was the best condition Ruby I've seen since I've started looking for one, and it was an auction. So I'm like, all right, this is the one I'll buy. I don't mind if I overspend because I'm overspending for condition where if this one sells, I can't just go and buy it because all the other ones online aren't in this condition, and I end up winning it for less than what half the other ones are for sale right now. So I'm pretty happy.
Yep. So I do impulse buy occasionally, like what stuff's on sale. Like I'll scroll through, like once or twice a week, I go and I scroll through Best Buy, Amazon, Target, Walmart, Woot, like all the major retailers, and I go and I filter everything out. I'm like, get rid of everything that's not in stock. I don't want to look at any freaking pre-orders. Just show me everything on clearance, everything on clearance, everything on clearance. And what I do is like Figsy, I always have a list of what I want in my head. Like it never ends. There's a never-ending list of games that I'm like waiting to get a deal on, and I just wait and I'm like, oh yeah, finally that baby's on sale. Like I'll show one off that I got. Like I've been waiting forever to get this. Like I didn't want to pay a lot for it because I wanted it because I'm collecting all like the boomer shooters. This is like a Genesis FPS game, but like I know that I'm not gonna play this ever, and if I am going to play this, like I can emulate this on my Genesis, like no problem.
Yeah.
So there's just no flipping way I was paying a lot for this, and it finally got put on Amazon for like $19.99, so I grabbed it. And so like I've been waiting to buy that game for 2 years, seriously. And so like I'm super patient when it comes to like games, because once you have a backlog that lasts years, like you should be able to combat the FOMO a little bit at that point, guys. You know what I'm saying? Like
it really takes a long time to really like stop yourself from buying like a new game that you maybe will play if you're lucky, or picking up multiple games that just came out that you have interest in, and you're just like, oh, they're all 60-hour long, like massive stories. Like, am I really gonna play these? So I personally have just really dialed in like I'm buying nothing new. I'm gonna go back and play some old stuff. I'm gonna play maybe a new game if it's like the top of my list of like my absolute favorite style or franchises. But other than that, like I've really like reined it in on like just chill.
I've got rules that allow me to play new games for free, and I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and it's worked for me really well. So a new game comes out, I want to play it, I buy it, day one. I play it, push everything else to the side, bust that game out, finish it as fast as possible, and then I have that game on eBay. Like within a week of me buying it, selling it, and I get less, like within $10 of what I paid for it. I actually made money on Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart when I bought that and sold it. I made like $10. And the only exception is if it's like an JRPG where I predict the game will be more than what I paid for it in the future. When those games, I don't really go for them day one. So I think the only game I've actually bought and kept was Demon Souls, and that's still like a $60 game, and I bought it for, $90. But all the other day one releases I've sold, and then 4 or 5 years later, when they're $5, I rebuy them, and that's how I do new games. And I've been doing this since 2019, and I play almost every new game I want for like $10, so that's awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely. If I could do it that way, I probably would, but I can't. I get like
Nintendo games are the one that I'll keep. So like, Tears of the Kingdom, it's still going for what I paid for it day one, and that's Nintendo's model.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, we had Blockbuster for that.
Yeah, basically, it's like renting a game, but I get to open it sealed, and then I get to play as much as I want, and then sell it. And yeah, I think it's a pretty cool system. Some games are crap that I bought brand new. I remember buying Sniper Elite 5, and you didn't even get to play the final mission because you got to pay for the DLC. I'm like, I already bought the game day one, and there's DLC. What's this bullshit? And it's the fucking front cover mission. It's like Hitler. This is the mission that they sell the game on, but it's DLC, guys. That pissed me
That was
off.
horseshit. I was pissed.
That's a whole problem in and of itself of like the new game push and everything that they're trying to do and monetization of gaming.
I heard that
Well, they don't like people like us. They want people to get PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live, or that's the model that they want. They don't want people buying games anymore. If they had the choice of removing all physical games and only selling digital, guess what? They would do it.
Yeah, I think that the gaming industry is in some serious trouble because, the games, they want to make them more expensive and people want to buy them less, and like people have such an amazingly massive amount of games to choose from these days that are really good that it's a hard sell, man. Like, so you could argue, like you said, that maybe like going back to like older generations is really uncomfortable for people, but I think PS3 onward, not really. I mean, I think anybody can play a PS3 game or a PS4 game or a PS5 game and still have a good time, or an Xbox 360
I think so
game.
too. Yeah.
I really do, and so like, I think it was Gaming Off the Grid. Gaming Off the Grid had either a video or a short or something where they were talking about how like that generation, the PS3 and the 360 are going to be like extremely collectible down the line because it was like the last like non-screwed with generation as far as like DLC and online and updates and all this other crap. Like, and that stuff does exist to some extent. There is some DLC and stuff, but for the most part, like the games were complete. They were on the disc. You can play them. You don't need the internet. Like, and so like
Server goes down, they're still playable.
Yeah. And also, and I know, I don't want to go too off topic with social stuff, but like, the culture has shifted so much in our society over the last decade that it's really nice to play old stuff. It's really nice to play like stuff, and it's like, hey, look, none of this stupid message shit is in any of these games. None of them.
Trying to push
None of them. None of them. Exactly. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to derail the topic into that. But like, it's like true. Like, same reason I like to collect like old movies and old TV shows and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, man, is this refreshing? This is great. This is just a good old fashioned TV show, and nothing fucking weird's happening. This is great. Like, I don't know.
Another thing that games do today is the average game doesn't try and sell you on the game, it tries to sell you on the life cycle. So let's use like Fortnite, for example. People that play Fortnite, that's what they play. They don't play anything else because the game's putting out new content every 30 days, new battle pass, you got to pay $30 a month to keep playing it. If you jump on Call of Duty, PUBG, Apex Legends, they're all the same. Every single one has this battle pass system. Some of them will have multiple battle passes. They all want you to keep playing that one game. Like, look at GTA 5. People, this came out 11 years ago. They still want people playing that one game online, putting money into it. They don't want you playing other games. And the average person plays one game these days. Like, we're the exception, but the average 20-year-old these days plays one game with all their mates on, one console, and that's what they do. And that's, how it works these days.
Half the games are free. That's another huge problem. Well, quote unquote, free to entry, no barrier to entry. But like, that's a tough thing. Like, so if you make a AAA game that's a one-player game and you need to charge $100 for it, and there's all these people out there who can't afford bread, they're probably just gonna play free games. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like,
you do have a very good point there.
Oh.
I'd say the industry's screwed. Like, they're competing with themselves, and they're competing with their past selves. It's not. There's no expiration date. It's not like clothes where you have to buy new clothes because they wear out. It's not like food that goes rotten, so you need to buy new food. It's not like it doesn't have an expiration date on it. Like, everything they make is still there, playable, ready to go. Have a good time. It's like I said, they're competing with their own past. It's tough. I don't know. I think they're in deep shit. I really do.
I think it can have different.
A lot of money.
So I played GeoGuessr, and it used to be a free game. And when it was a free game, 90% of the players were cheaters because it was free, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they've made the game a subscription model. You got to pay for it. It's one of the cheapest subscription models out there. But because you got to pay for it, 99% of people aren't cheaters anymore. And the cheaters that come along get, banned within a few hours of being in the game. So it can have good implementations in certain games, but this is an exception rather than the norm.
I refuse to play free games for that reason, just so you know. I don't like any free games. I want to pay for every game I play. I want there to be a price barrier to entry because, like you said, it eliminates all the little kids and all the freaking, 90% of the douchebags right out of the gate. Just the people you don't want to play with, they can't afford it and they won't spend the money on it anyway. They're playing the free shit. So that's why I like that. And this is an interesting thing. Like Costco, you know what Costco is? Do you guys have that where you live?
Yep.
Figsy. It's like a giant grocery
I haven't
chain.
been there yet. But I'm gonna go this time.
All right, so it's a giant warehouse grocery chain, and like if you want to shop there, you have to pay to shop there, and you have to show an ID. And they've talked to the people, and they're like, "Have you ever thought about eliminating that?" And they're like, "No." Because we make people pay to shop here, and because they have to show an ID to get the thing, it's like they cuts down on 99% of their shoplifting. Because people who steal, they're not going to give you their fucking ID, and they're certainly not going to pay to shop there in the first place because they're there to steal. So it's like
It's actually brilliant because when they started that, crime, shoplifting wouldn't have been an issue as prevalent as it is today. So it's brilliant, really.
Yeah, I'm like,
I've seen
you should increase
in
it.
America, and every single aisle is behind a glass case, and it's like, what's the point of shopping in store anymore? You just do it online. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a shop and have to ask the employee to get every single item I want off the shelf. That's ridiculous.
That's what it's gonna be. Eventually, shopping is you'll walk in and there'll be a little machine like a kiosk, and you just order everything you want on the screen, and then someone will come out and there'll be a little window, and they just go, "Here's your stuff," after you paid for it. That's how it's gonna be. You're not gonna have the option of touching anything anymore.
I mean,
yeah.
like down here, Giant, which is a grocery store, you can literally build your cart in an app online. Everything's there. Send that in. You pay for it. You go. Somebody has literally already shopped the store for you. All your items are bagged up, and you just load your cart.
Well, you don't even have to load it in the car. They load it for you.
And I like that.
My car.
I like that, but at the same time, I like to squeeze my own melons. You know what I mean?
The reason
you know what
I
I mean?
love
I like to slap the meat to make sure it's the right. You know what I'm talking about. It's got to have that right.
Yeah,
you know,
right firmness. It has to feel good in the hands.
Subtle reverberation.
All right, I don't know where you're going like this. What are we? That's not what I'm.
Do you guys in the States have the same franchises doing different things depending on where they are?
Oh, well, he has Costco.
Yeah.
For us, it's we have Costco down here, but we also have a place called BJ's Wholesale Club.
There's also Sam's Club too.
And then Sam's Club. Well, yeah, they're national though, but it's all the same principle. I mean, they can subsidize prices based on the membership rate, and also they're minimizing shrink. You minimize shrink, you can sell things for cheaper because you don't have to assume that liability of giving away $1 million in product a year to people who are taking it. So I think it's a great idea. Back to like the whole pay-to-play thing, that kind of pivoted off of software as a service, which originated in like PC and Mac software with like Adobe Creative Cloud being like, hey, instead of paying $500 for Photoshop for this year, you can go ahead and pay $50 a month and get all of our products except
Or you can torrent it and get it for free.
Right, exactly. And then the gaming industry was like, oh, well, when in Rome. And
well, the streaming services that they've seen, Netflix works, and Amazon, why don't we try this? And I think Xbox, when they started, they did a brilliant job. Xbox's first couple of years of Xbox Live, like, that was good value. You could sign up for $1 and have access to games that came out yesterday. Like, that was great value. But now they're putting the prices up, and they're doing the whole, like, if you want to play day one releases, you need the highest tier, and it's not becoming a great value anymore. And it's still okay value. Someone that has no games,
you have to get to that point where you reach that ceiling, where you lose that big, huge customer drop, and then you're like, okay, this was our cap. Let's sit right here. This seems to be the sweet spot. We'll get them back, and we'll make everything right. And we know that maybe instead of the couple dollar increases, we can go maybe $1 increase and just creep it, hit the ceiling, bring it back down. It goes hand in hand with anything. Like with my job, it's the same way. Like, if a customer off the street brings their car to me and they're like, oh, hey, I want repairs. Can you do this? And I'm like, all right, what's the highest number that I can tell them that they'll pay, or they'll walk away? And if they pay, awesome. I'm glad to do it. If they don't pay, that's fine. I have more free time. You got to find that ceiling that you can either push through, or you stop and you realize this is the max. I have to leave it here.
I think that works with all things. Like, I could relate it to what I do on eBay. And I'll set a price for all my items, and then the way I do reductions is I have a cycle of 30 days for all my items, and after 30 days of being listed, I'll drop the price by 5% because it didn't sell at that sweet spot. So let's find the next sweet spot.
Yes.
Because I don't want an item sitting on there for more than a month. If an item's sitting on there for more than a month, it's failed me. I want it to sell. I don't want it to sell in a day, but I don't want it to sell in 2 months. I want it to sell in that 2 to 4 week period. That's perfect.
Yeah.
If you sell an item in a day, it's too cheap. If it's 2 months, it's too expensive.
Also, can I just take the moment to say that a lot of people say they don't like game resellers or people who resell games and stuff, but I am not that way, because I like people like Figsy who want to fucking move product. Not people who have these emotional attachments. This is my little game that I had since I was 8 years old, and me and my cousin Billy, we used to play it every Sunday, and it's a perfect minty, and I want $1,000 over fucking price charting. Okay, dude. I don't I almost will not buy from collectors at all, because it's such a pain in the ass. I always want to buy from resellers, because they're like,
you'll see price from collectors.
What's it going for? Price charter says 165. How about 140? Let's go. All right, thank you. And they just want to move stuff. They don't have these they're not
attached to it.
No, and they
just a number.
They're business. Yeah, and then I'm happy, they're happy. I get a good deal, they get a good deal. I'm good. I appreciate them. And also, all these people complain about them. I'm not going out and garage sailing every weekend. I mean, if you are and you can't find anything, your complaints are legitimate. If you're literally hustling every day and trying to go into Goodwills and trying to find games and you can't because them damn resellers are buying them all.
They live in the wrong spot.
Yeah, but I bet 99% of the people who complain about them just sitting on their ass buying it off of eBay anyway, and they're just mad that it's not cheaper on eBay. They're not going out and doing it. They're not doing the work anyway. So
the reselling thing is is pretty big in my area, at least. Like, a lot of people that I know and I see on, like, Marketplace and stuff, like, it is rampant. Like, people are in Goodwills looking for anything and everything they can possibly find to resell. They're scanning it with their eBay apps. They're looking at every little minuscule thing. But they always leave one thing for me where I'm like, thank you. This is exactly up my alley. I am so glad I found this. Thank you. Awesome. Goodbye. Like, that's it. There's always something there to be found.
Yeah, and if you look hard enough, you'll always find something. That's the key with looking. And
Yeah, I go to the same Goodwill once a week, and
Stop.
I go to the same Goodwill once a week.
Stop. The same how many Goodwills?
I only go to one. I do. I only go to one, and it's,
you got the look.
but I do go to the community 8. But that's the different thing.
I don't count.
I go to I have like a route where if I'm in this area working, I'll swing by here and I will look for stuff, and I'll either be like, you gotta catch me in the right mood to pick something up. If I'm like, okay, do I really want to go through selling this? Not really. And I'll pass on it, and then I'll leave and I'll get home and be like, God damn it, why didn't I buy that? It's happened to me so many times.
I hear about these all the time. Some nights I just turn my phone off.
You never turn your phone off. Don't you dare lie.
I want to touch back on something that Joe mentioned with the like collectors selling stuff, and this is what I see all the time. It'll be like a Facebook post, 20 cool games, and you're like, oh, that's sweet. And then you read the comments, and 5 or 6 of them have got sold next to them, and then the other prices are the same. And you'll see the same post in like 2 months, and it's exactly the same. They haven't changed the prices. They've still got the sold games all up there and the same pictures. And it's like, I click on it for these ones, and they're all sold. You just wasted my time again.
That happens so much to me, because that is a thing that I am like on way too much, is Facebook Marketplace. Like, it's a blessing and a curse, but it is like the bane of my existence. When I see the post, I'm like, oh yes, absolutely, give me that. And they're like, oh no, those are all sold. I'm like, okay. And then I'll find another one, and it's the same thing, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, update it.
Yeah, so that happened to me a little while ago. Somebody was selling 3DS games, and they had one, like, Project Zone 2. So
Yeah,
that's a pretty rare game.
Yeah, yep.
So it was a banger, and they had 3 games for sale or something like that. And they were, it's like they were like $20 a piece. I was like, hell yeah, I'm buying all them games. I don't give a shit what the other games are. I give a crap there, whatever they are. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. That was still a deal just for that one. So of course I messaged them, and this like post was like that day. You know what I mean? It was not an old post, and they're like, "Oh, I only have 2 games now," and I'm like, "Never mind." And they're like, "You don't even want to know." I'm like, "I know you sold Project Zone. Yeah. Never mind." And they're like, "Yeah, that is the one I sold." I'm like, "I know. I know. Of course you did. You're a dummy. Why you only have 3 games? Why would you sell the one? And if you are selling just one, why don't you look up what you have?" I saw a post the other day. Oh man, this made me so mad. This lady posted these games, like $60 for the lot, and it was just a bunch of PS2 games, and like literally there was a bunch of Silent Hills in there. Oh God, there was what else was it? Like Dragon Ball Z, Budokai. There was some really valuable games in there. Like, and I messaged her right away, and I said, "Hey, I'll pay more than your asking price, just so you know. Like, if those are for sale, I'll pay more than what you're asking. I said you have valuable games in there. Like, I'm not a scummy person at all. Like, if somebody has something, I want them to, and also because if you don't say that, somebody will come in and swoop in and buy it in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And anyway, she just like didn't respond, nothing at all. And then like the next day, there's like 3 new posts from some other seller with all those same games split up into 3 different lots, like 800 for this lot, 600 for this lot, 300. I was like, you son of a bitch.
That's happened to me.
Motherfucker.
The same
Just
exact thing has happened to me.
Just drives me crazy, dude.
thing-
I don't even care if somebody else gets them and they're collector and they're like, yay, and they keep them, but like it is really irritating when you see that same lot flipped in the next 24 hours for quadruple the price. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the other thing that I hate is when someone makes a post, it's like a Game Boy and 5 games, and like 3 of them are Pokemon games, and they're like $100, and you're just like, snap that off, 100% I'm buying that. And you message them, they never respond, they remove the post, and then you see a new post from that same person, and now it's $500.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
And you're
too.
like, you just now did the research, or did enough people message you saying that you had stuff and then you did the research? Like, why didn't you just do the research from the beginning and avoid having to make 2 posts?
People are weird, man. I don't know.
There's people like that out there. You're like selling something, no idea what it is, and then realize what it's actually worth. I mean, that person then comes down to 2 minds, like, do I want to do the right thing and commit to this deal I've already agreed to, or do I want to do the wrong thing and get more money for myself? And it's like one of those moral choices.
Yeah.
Never going to see these people again, but I'll feel right doing the right thing, and you feel bad doing the wrong thing. And karma's a bitch. Like, karma gets you back. So
Yeah. Like, enough of those deals where like you get, a Silent Hill collection for $10 or a Pokemon collection for $20. Enough times, and like you've burnt all your bridges at that point. Like, the big thing about doing these like Facebook Marketplace deals or whatever trade deals or group deals that you do, like, relationships matter. If you have a good relationship, a good reputation, people will bring you stuff and are willing to give you deals. It's just the way that kind of stuff works.
it's the same as like the feedback system on eBay.
Yeah.
Like, I've had times where I've accidentally sold items cheaper than what I meant to sell it for. Whether it's me forgetting to put a 0 on the end of the number, or just listing something and it sells in 5 seconds, and then I look it up and I'm like, oh shit, that's not a $5 game, it's a $100 game. I fucked up. I've always sent those items out, because if it was me and I bought it, I would be furious seeing that the cancel the listing, relisting it. I would be fucking furious. I'd leave bad feedback. They're all, you accept the mistake, you eat the costs up, and that's part of the business, It is what it is.
So what other hobbies do you guys have? Are you guys like just gaming, or do you have like other things that you enjoy doing?
Mine's geography. Like, the game I play is basically like my other life, and I study this game pretty hard. I tried to make the World Cup this year. There's like an esports scene in GeoGuessr, and I made the like online qualification process. There was 25 of us, and fortunately I didn't make it to the regionals, but yeah, that's pretty much what I do in my free time. I study different subdivisions of countries throughout the world, learning like US phone codes, or learning how to read road signs in Russia or Spain, or looking at different trees in different countries and learning like where sugarcane grows, or where certain coconut trees grow and where they don't. That's what I'm into. Apart from that, sport. I love football. I love my Chelsea.
I've got a trivia question.
Yeah.
What U.S. state is known for the palmetto?
The palmetto.
That a cookie?
Florida?
It sounds like a cookie.
Close.
Like, I don't know what the palmetto is. I'm just assuming
That Pepperidge
it's
Farms?
Pepper
Like-
Farm members.
Would it
It's
be
not
like
a Milano,
Georgia or
okay?
Alabama?
Not the freaking Milano.
All I know is I'm hungry now. I don't know what we're talking
No, I was
about.
just curious. I wasn't sure. South Carolina. So the palmetto is like a type of palm tree, but it's very short. So it's almost
Yeah.
more like a bush. But South Carolina is known for the palmetto.
known for the
Okay,
bush.
I'll take that on. I'm actually gonna look that up. I'll take that on. No, that'd be wild. South Carolina matter. I'll hit to myself.
Have
So,
you ever been
yeah.
to South Carolina?
I've been to America, but I've only been to the West Coast. So I've been to Seattle a few times and LA, and then I've been up to Vancouver as well.
He's been to all the right places.
For video game collecting, yeah.
I don't know if LA is the right place.
Ever been?
No, but I don't think I need to.
Well, that's pretty.
Well, he was starting to start his acting career, so.
Oh, those trees. Oh yeah. And it's on the flag. Yeah. Yeah. I'm familiar with that flag. All right, I should have got that.
It's all good. I'm
We
just
actually
having
had
fun.
that flag show up in the game yesterday. That's funny.
So what about you, Joe? What other hobbies do you have? What other interests do you have?
I'm a male prostitute.
We've already been through
Fuck
this.
me.
Well, that's his tagline.
So mostly I just hang out, you know what I mean?
Oh, he hangs out all right.
So stupid. So I obviously like the show. I work on the show quite a bit, getting it ready, you know, the podcast. That's the thing, booking people and all that stuff. And then I'm really into music, so I play guitar all the time, constantly. Yeah. I like to sing a lot. Like, I'm really big into that. Before COVID, I used to like go do karaoke all the time. But like ever since COVID, like most of them shut down, and like they haven't reopened a lot of them, and like a lot of them are kind of far now. And I'm like, I don't want to drive far for fucking karaoke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just it's just supposed to be stupid and fun. It's not serious. I don't want to. It's not like worth going in an hour for. Or something. So I don't know. I haven't really been doing that much, but those are like my big hobbies. Other than that, man, like singing out with my dog. Got a German Shepherd. Spend a lot of time with her. I got my girlfriend. You know, doing stuff like that. My fam.
How do you guys play golf?
Not like a lot. I have some friends who are really into it, and occasionally I'll play with them, but really not very often.
That's
Yeah, when I was like 18, we used to go to the golf clubs and smoke weed on the second hole, and by the ninth hole, it was a good time. But no, I haven't done it for like 10 years.
that's our like second. Well, that's my second addiction, I should say. That's what we like to do. We'll do it like we try to go like at once every weekend. Sometimes it doesn't work, but I try and go as much as I can because it is just one of those things where like once you start doing it and you like start to be like okay, it's just like shoot it into my
it's
veins,
super
baby. Like it's so addicting.
Yeah, it's first of all, golf courses are beautiful. They're fucking gorgeous to hang out on. It's like literally like you're in the Garden of Eden.
Some of them.
And then it's fun, and it's like you're outside, and usually you're playing with friends, and like you get to laugh at your friends. So I mean, believe it or not, like golf games are like some of my favorites too. Not just like playing golf, but like actual games. Like I love golf games. I have every Tiger, like I have every single Tiger, like all of them, from PS1 all the way to PS3.
I love all the everybody golf games.
Yeah, everybody's golf. I love the Mario golf games.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wii Sports.
Just pretty much.
The
Yeah, and
Mario
then there's
golf
all
games
sorts
are
of cool
so
ones on the
good.
Switch. Like a lot of cool golf. There's Golf Story, Golf Wasteland, what the golf. There's so many golf games. I should make a YouTube episode about golf games. Seriously, there's so many cool ones. But I love golf in general because it's super fun because you play it with friends, but you're still competing against yourself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you are, like your friends have their own score and you have your own score. And yes, you can beat your friends, but really, it's like they have no impact on your performance and you have no impact on theirs. Like it's not like they're pitching and you're swinging and you're missing, and you know what I mean? It's not like their skill against your skill in that way. It's just like your own real competition is yourself in golf.
That is
Like you
the
are just
most
not screwing
true
up.
statement.
Nobody's gonna screw you up but you. It's just you.
Yep.
Yeah,
You-
and so
you
that's
get in
why I
your head
love
and it's-
golf. It's because if you do badly, there's no one to blame but yourself. You can't blame I guess you could be like, my damn clubs. I'm sure somebody out there blames something, but for the most part, it's like a self-disciplined sport, which I really think is cool. And it's funny as hell to watch your friends fuck up in golf, man. It's because it's so serious. Everyone's quiet. It's like, all right. And then just go, boom, they're completely shaking. It's so funny. It's the funniest thing ever, dude. It just always is forever to the end of time. There's never not be funny. When you're like, the guy's like, oh, yes, watch this shit right in the bunker. You're like, it's so good.
I'm generally like not really interested in watching golf or anything like that. But last night I watched this like hour documentary on the 2000 US Open where Tiger Woods won by 15 strokes, and it's like biggest winning margin ever, and like full fog days, and he was still hitting like eagles and birdies, and they call it like the most dominant performance on like one golfer of all time, and yeah, it was pretty cool to watch.
2000 Tiger was literally something to behold. It was disgusting.
Yeah, it was insane.
He's another animal. And like when you watch these people now that are like at the top of their game, and they are just evolving the game, and they talk about like all of their equipment and what they do and their techniques and like the science behind everything. Like, it is mind-blowing. The tiniest little thing makes the world a difference on the golf course. From like the way that your ball floats in water and the center of gravity on your ball, to your clubs being just a little more like curved than the average club, or the way that you putt, or the way that you read your putts and set up for your putts. Like, it's so insane, like the wormhole you can go down in just anything about golf.
No, the average person's got what? Like, how many clubs have you got, man?
I mean, I have 2 sets at the moment because I'm playing around with a smaller club face versus like a little bit bigger club face. So it's like you have a smaller margin of error, but when it also gives you a better like sweet spot, so to say. So like just trying to get used to those, and it's a different shaft flex and everything, so it's just playing around with equipment. But usually a golf bag has what, 14 clubs?
That's the rule.
I think you can only have 14 clubs, so, and like
That's
the
a
way
lot.
you balance it, and the degrees of like difference between your wedges, and you have to have it's just wild.
Fortunately, there's no limit to how many balls you can have in a golf bag, because God knows you'd lose about 2 dozen.
Excuse me, Mr. Andy, how many did you duck hook into trees? Or
I only duck hooked the one.
that's not what I saw on Sunday.
No, I duck hooked the 3-wood on, what was it, 15. And
You
then
hit 3 fairways over on the last
that was the
hole.
right. That
You
wasn't
also
a duck
hit
hook.
over to the left.
I didn't go to the left on the last hole. I did hit it like 3 fairways over. I also hit that ball like 370 yards.
Yeah, this man will send a ball to another planet.
Russell.
What have you got on your arm, Andy? The tattoos? Or
Which one?
Eva. I was looking at the
So
colored one.
That's a cobra.
V for Vendetta.
Well, yeah,
Or
that's
Guy
one
Fawkes.
of the Guy Fawkes mask, V for Vendetta. I've actually had a couple people be like, "Is that the guy from the anonymous group?" And I'm like, it might be, but whatever. We won't go there. Clover, Snoopy, and Woodstock. That's for my grandpa.
Are you in Cobra Kai? Shit.
Me? Cobra Kai never dies.
I was just watching it, so it's a little fresh in my mind.
Yo, Johnny should have beat the shit out of Daniel, and I would totally sweep the leg.
Have you been watching? You guys watch that show?
I did.
The Cobra Kai show?
Yeah.
I watched like the first 5 seasons.
I didn't watch it.
Doesn't surprise me.
Well,
I think it's pretty much gone off the deep end. as far as how ludicrous it's become. But
That's usually how shows go after a couple of seasons. They usually are just like, is this the same show that I was watching 4 seasons ago, or like, what's going on here?
When they brought
Yeah.
what's his name back, with Terry Silver, I think it was, right?
Silver,
The other guy, yeah. When they brought Silver back, it was like, okay, your
yeah,
writers.
Silverback.
Silverback. Let me get a Nickelback. No, at that point it was like your writers are going off the deep end. Please, like, just do something.
Yeah,
different.
it got cartoonishly ridiculous when they introduced the senseis from Japan and like the eye patch man and this person and all that, all those the bad coat. That was ridiculous. The only thing I could equate it to is like, do you ever see Hellraiser? You've watched those movies?
Yes.
Mhm.
All right, so do you know in the third one where they're like, let's introduce a bunch of new Cenobites. Here's CD Man. And here's Flamethrower Person. And there was all these crappy, lame, like new Cenobites that sucked. And it was like, oh, this is fucking lame. That's exactly what this feels like. They're like, here's just a bunch of shitty, lame characters that have no backstory that we're not going to really explain, and they're just here. I don't know. It just got dumb. Like, the show was always ridiculous, but it had like some basis in reality. I feel like the first couple seasons, like it was ridiculous. No one has karate fights every 5 minutes. Just be real. That's just not it. Like I always watch that show and laugh. I'm like, everybody on this show would be in prison. You cannot just fucking beat the shit out of everybody everywhere you go. Like, you just can't. Like, eventually, at some point, the cops are going to show up and put you in fucking jail. You can't do that. It's the same thing on cop shows. I love cop shows. I'm sorry, this is totally tangent. Cops always, on cop shows, they constantly just break into people's houses, fucking shoot people, murder people, threaten people, pull out their gun in public, some lady eating ice cream at the park, tell me what. I'm like, you can't, that wouldn't work. Like, Jesus, man.
I love when I catch that in a show, like when they're like doing something. I'm like, that's not how that works.
No.
You can't just do that.
Well, it's like they'll kick in a door and, run in screaming, pointing their guns everywhere, and it's like, I didn't see the part in this show where they got the warrant for that.
Well, or
Or
even
hospital shows where they're like not doing things by the book, always.
or there's shows about criminals who are just constantly murdering everyone all the time, everywhere they go, and they never get caught. And I'm like, this just wouldn't happen. You can't just go into a bar and shoot up everyone in the bar and walk away in 2024. Someone's gonna fucking take a picture, man.
I don't even know if you could do that in 1924, to be honest with you. I mean,
No, yeah, back in the 30s and the mobsters and shit, they would shoot them up. They eventually die. They'd shoot them, and then they throw the corpses in the newspaper in black and white. They got them. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can't just do that stuff. So I don't know, man.
So we just started. Me and my wife started watching this show called Your Honor. It's
Yeah,
like,
I've seen it.
we're like 7 episodes in, I think, and it's the first time in a while that a show has just like really brought us in, and we're just like, we need more. We want more. Like, we need to know what happens. Like, it's done so well.
Mm-hmm. Well, Bryan Cranston's fantastic as an actor. He's kind of a jackass in real life, but he's a great actor.
Yeah, he is. And he always kind of has that like manipulation factor in his roles, where he like is just kind of like sketchy. He manipulates. He finds a way to get it done. Like, Walter
That's
White.
Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle. Fucking. You can't watch that show ever again. Have you ever tried to go back and watch that now after Breaking Bad?
No, I haven't actually.
Give it a try. You can't.
I like
You
to assume
cannot
that the two
handle
universes were actually connected, and Bryan Carson just left the Malcolm in the Middle family to move into the Breaking Bad family.
that.
what
Fine
was
with
his
me.
name? That, Malcolm.
He doesn't act
Munson?
anymore.
Frankie
Yeah,
Munson.
Frankie
Freddie
Munson.
Munson.
I haven't been
Muniz.
able to watch Malcolm in the Middle since Frankie Muniz played drums for King's Foil.
Oh yeah, he was actually What did he live near us?
He's a race car driver now.
Yeah, he literally like, I think he moved like 30 minutes from where we lived to be in a local band that was like getting pretty popular around us, and I just saw it one day, like the band posted and it was like, oh yeah, welcome our new drummer Frankie Muniz. I was like, what? Wait,
He's gonna be in the middle.
Good
Yeah,
guy knows
that
what's
show's
up.
interesting because that show's like really. It didn't make it to DVD after like season 1 or 2.
Yeah, you can't buy it on DVD or
Really?
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it had some weird ass licensing problems, or there was some sort of issue with it, and it was like too expensive for them to release or something. So it's like not available on DVD anywhere or something like that. Or like Figsy said, I think there's only like 1 or 2 seasons of it, and that's it.
Interesting. I never knew that.
Yes, it's going to be one of those things in the future that, like, if it's ever not on a streaming service, it'll just be lost. And it was like, I grew up with that show. Like, I can visually picture the intro of that show, the crazy animations and everything.
Yeah, that was a classic show to watch.
Yes. Well, all I gotta say though, like it's difficult to watch now after Breaking Bad. It's hard. Like it was at first when you started. Like I had the same thing when I first started watching Breaking Bad. I was like, "It's Malcolm's dead. This is silly.
It's not weird, yeah.
This is silly." But not after like a season or 2. I was like, "That's
Dude,
fucking Heisenberg.
That
ain't
show
Malcolm's
is
dead.
just
Malcolm's dead."
that show might be like Breaking Bad might be like
One of the
the
shows
best
ever.
show that I've ever seen. Period.
I wouldn't have a problem with you saying that or anybody else
I
saying
was
that.
at Game of Thrones up until like season 8, and then it just
Well,
ruined.
Breaking Bad had a damn good ending.
Me and my wife tried to watch Game of Thrones. We watched it for
Go God. Cheeseburgers, man.
We tried to watch Game of Thrones, and it was just we could not get into it. We thought it was just boring. I think we made it to like season 2, and it was just like, all right, this is the absolute worst.
Yeah, I went into it. I'd already read the books, so I was into it prior to like going into the shows, and knowing what was going to happen and just waiting for these awesome things that I'd read about to happen was cool for me.
Yeah, I could see that. I have never. The only book that I read that they made a movie on was Running with Scissors, and that movie was dog shit.
Breaking Bad, in my opinion, is just significantly better as a show. Like the Game of Thrones story is good, but the ending's terrible, and we don't even know how it's actually going to end. But Breaking Bad, like as a show,
It's just chef's kiss.
it's fucking Shakespeare, dude. As far as I'm concerned, like it
It's
is
so
that good, and it's not just. So it's got like everything. It's got amazing writing, amazing acting, amazing cinematography. Like the way it looks, like shots over the desert, the way like they create tension in that show, and the music, and it's just it's got everything, man. The foreshadowing, the little clips they used to do at the beginning of the episode where they show something fucked up and you don't know what it is, and then they show you later or whatever. Like it's just dude, it's so good.
It's just it's one of those shows that like I go back to and rewatch, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the first time I watched it, where like it's everything just scoops me right up, and I feel all the feelings that I felt when I first watched it, and I'm like, this is just a masterpiece.
It generally might be the last show I've actually watched. So I haven't watched TV for like 10 years.
Really? Nothing at all?
Yeah. I don't watch TV or movies. I just play games and watch YouTube these days. I don't have any streaming service.
Yeah, usually we, like, when I get home from work and we're, like, waiting to cook dinner, we'll, like, watch an episode of something or watch, like, part of a movie, and then we will cook dinner and do whatever, and then we will sit and watch, like, the rest of it maybe, unless, or my daughter wants to go out and hit golf balls or play out on a swing set or ride her scooter or whatever she wants to do, and we'll do all that. But mainly, like, before my wife goes to bed, we'll sit and we'll watch, like, a movie or a TV show. A TV show helps because it's more, like, sectioned out, so, like, you can stop and go as you please, but a movie, it's kind of annoying to do that.
So I watch a lot of like live streaming on Twitch, and I don't have a partner, so that's probably a big reason why I'm not watching movies and TV as well.
Yeah, I guess that does make a pretty big difference. I listen
Oh, it's
to
a huge
YouTube
difference.
and watch YouTube like all day long because I just throw my headphones in. I drive a decent commute, so like I literally just I run out of things to watch because I've just watched so much of it.
YouTube isn't something you watch with someone either. It's sort of like your personalized playlist, you know.
Yeah.
Like my mate comes over and we don't watch what I want to watch on YouTube. We watch Twitch together, but that's about it, you know.
My girlfriend constantly is like, your fucking timeline is terrifying.
Yeah.
It really is.
I go through like these
so bad.
spurts of just like video game creators, and then I'll go to like I'll watch Magic content creators like Magic the Gathering, and I'm just like dead set on there, and then I'll watch RuneScape content creators, and I just bounce like I have these like golf. I'll just it's ridiculous.
I'm like sport documentaries or geography documentaries, and that's about it.
Well, you make a good point though. Honestly, Figsy, if it wasn't for my girlfriend, I'd probably have seen like 8 things in the last decade. I would just be constantly playing on my PS5 on my big TV because she's around. I'm like, all right, we'll watch something, and that's
Yeah.
you know, I always play on the Steam Deck, or I play on something else. Even then, I still play games, but I
Well,
wouldn't
Monday
even.
to Friday, a certain
watch.
streamer I watch goes live at 11 o'clock every night, so that's what I'm watching then. And you know, you're not going to do that with a partner. They don't want to watch a certain streamer unless that's just what they do, and you don't want to watch. You know.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of streamers that we do watch together.
Oh, yeah?
Luckily. Yeah, but that's just because I'm a video game addict and I can watch anybody play anything. She can't. It's not the other way around. I can
Yeah.
watch her. So I can watch someone play Stardew Valley with her and she'll be entertained. But she
Yeah.
ain't watching somebody play Evil Dead or
Yeah,
Texas
I
Chainsaw.
can relate
Shit,
to
she
that.
ain't watching that.
I get that.
Yeah.
So what is one of your favorite consoles to collect for? Like everybody has like that one that's just like their thing. Clearly, it's PlayStation for probably both of you. Some sort of
PS1
PlayStation.
for me. PS1 games are so hard to find in Australia, so I just love collecting them. I've probably got 300 complete Black Label PS1 games, and every time I pick one up, I love putting it in the collection.
So why are PS1 games so hard to find in Australia?
Oh, we just didn't get many of them. Like, in terms of the amount of gamers that were in Australia 20 years ago compared to today, the fraction of them. Like, say there was 500,000 gamers back then, there's 5 million today. And if they all want the old stuff, then it's just so hard to get. So it's easier for me to buy games in the UK, get a big package, and then send it over, and it's half the price of games that are in Australia. And they all play UK versions, you know, English.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's how I sort of do PS1 collecting these days.
Yeah. So for me, it's weird. Like forever, it's always been PS1. Like that was always my console that I would always say is my number one favorite one, hands down. But I gotta say, I'll be honest, I really, really, really like PS4. No, I really do. It's crept up on me over the years, and as it's coming to its close, I'm gonna miss it. I love PS4, dude. And I mean, numbers just don't lie. Like if you look at my collection, I just have so many more PS4 games compared to everything else. So I don't know. That system just really hit for me, and I still like fucking love collecting for it. I'm still like super excited to get PS4 games, but just nothing feels as good to me as getting like a nice clean PS1 game. Like literally nothing feels the same. Like nothing gives me that nostalgic feeling like the PlayStation 1 case. I don't know.
I don't know, Joe. Picking up these original Pokemon Game Boy and Game Boy Color games have felt pretty cool recently.
Yeah, I mean, it's much harder to find Game Boy games in the box with everything than a jewel case of a CD in it.
Yep.
But when you buy 3 games and it's cost you more than $1,000, it kind of hurts. So I'm glad that there's like 10 to collect, not 500. And I'm past the halfway point.
I just did a trade not too long ago. I used to have a Xbox One kiosk down here that I got off of a marketplace deal for like $150, I think.
Nice.
And I had it set up and it was cool, but like it was just kind of big and in the way.
How many times did you use it?
Maybe a handful, if I'm being honest. Like I had it set up in a way for like we could sit on these chairs and we could look at the TV that was mounted and we could play it. But the way I've just put my setup and how I have it, like it just didn't make sense. And
I
it
can
just-
relate
It took up
100%.
so much
I
space.
had a PS3 kiosk that took up so much space. We used it like 5 times.
Yeah.
I got all my friends around once. We had a great night with it, and I don't think I touched it for a year after that.
Yeah. So
And I got it cheap. I sold it to an arcade locally, and now it's like still in that arcade. If I go there, I can play it, and I got a lot of money for it. So I'm glad that I sold it.
yeah. So I posted it on Marketplace for sale, and I got pretty much no hits on it. And the couple that I got, like this guy wanted to give me like next to nothing for it, and I was like, absolutely not. This guy was like, are you interested in trades? I was like, what do you got? And he was just listing off. He has like a flea market spot that he sells video games at. So he just sent me like a list of stuff he was willing to trade, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna like grab as much stuff as I can to just that I want out of his little collection that he's putting up for trade. And I got Pokemon Red, the Japanese release, and Pokemon Gold and Silver, the Japanese releases, and a bunch of like NES, Super NES, just random stuff. I think maybe a PS2 game or an N64 game of some sort, but I just traded him like what I was selling it for, and it was cool. And then I just put in, I got a original like big brick Game Boy with it too. So I just put in like the Japanese Pokemon games and tried to play them like without being able to read it. And I was like, this shouldn't be that hard. No, it's
It's impossible.
it's pretty damn hard.
You can't play RPGs. That's I think probably every hardcore game collector has tried that at some point in their life. They're like, I'm just gonna get this Japanese game. I've wanted it forever. How bad could it be? And then it's fucking impossible.
Yeah, I went into it like, this can't be that difficult. Like, it's just like click attack, good. I'm okay. And then it was just like, I'm trying to like Google lens like the phrases so I can read it. It was very difficult.
For me, I love Phantasy Star. That's like one of my favorite franchises. And there was a Vita game called Phantasy Star Nova that only came out in Japan. And like I just was drooling over this game for like forever, looking at it, watching videos, and I'm just like, come on, port it to America. Come on, man, throw some English on there. Let's go. And this was the Vita. So clearly that never happened because they didn't invest anything in the Vita. And so like after a while, I was just like, I'm like so desperate for Phantasy Star anything. Like literally, I was desperate. I want to play something. I was like, all right, I'm gonna order it. Japanese. How bad could it be? And I'm like, yeah. Like after a while, like after like a few hours, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm not doing this. Screw this.
I tried.
It's too much work and effort, and I could figure out how to attack, and I could figure some stuff out for sure. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do, or where to go, or who to talk to, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like the guy could just be like, all right, cool, go to this town and give Fred this wheel of cheese. And I'm like,
Well, the thing is, though, that he did tell you to do that.
he did.
It was just in Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, oh, no, and I was like, right, man. And then I walked out and I fought monsters, and I don't know what else to do. I don't know what to do. Like, it's not gonna work.
Shockingly enough, the only Phantasy Star that I've ever played, and it was very brief, was Phantasy Star on the 360. It was like Phantasy Star Online.
Online?
I think is what it was called.
Yeah, I think that was online.
I played it for a little bit at my friend's house who had it, and I was like, this is cool, and then I just never pursued it after that.
Phantasy Star Online's cool. It's just that's an online MMO, and it is a good game, and it's a lot of fun. But I just want a damn regular, old school RPG game. That's all I'm looking for. I just want Phantasy Star 5 to come out.
MMOs are scary to invest time into.
I'm all
Like,
set.
if you've got an addictive personality and you start an MMO, like you could be committing your life to this.
Yeah,
Hello.
I told you. I told you I missed.
I have an MMORPG addiction, but I'm very on and off with it. I've been playing RuneScape for probably 20 years at this point, and I just like when I get into it, it is like laser focus. I am playing nothing but that, and I'm trying to find any way that I can play it at any time, period. And it's
No,
I
I
watch
purposely
people.
won't play them because I know that like I want to become the best in the world at this game, and that's
what I
like
do.
what I do in video games. So I won't touch these games.
Don't do it, Figsy. I literally
don't do it.
I played World of Warcraft. Like I said, I missed the entire generation of games. I didn't play anything else, and I ended up joining like a super hardcore guild, rated 5 nights a week, getting ranks, parses, and blah blah blah. It was just, yeah, like you say, if you like to be top tier, like that game psychologically will own you. It will be like, well, you're gonna have to do this then and this then. It knows, like the game it's designed to keep you constantly doing it.
I'm happy with GeoGuessr. It makes me feel good because it's like chess. You feel like you're learning something when you grind it.
That's like Magic. That's another game that I have had this on and off relationship with. I used to play it at a card shop near me. That card shop closed down. The next closest one was like an hour away, and it was like I don't want to travel that far to play. So we had a little friend group that we played with, and it was all cool, but then we kind of like had kids and stuff, so it kind of disbanded. But I've played it online on and off, and we used to travel for tournaments and stuff. Like we went to Charlotte, North Carolina to play in a tournament, and we all slept in our friend's basement, and like it was really good times, really fun. And like it's one of those games that it's like chess. Like the more you learn about the game and the meta games and what all these things are doing and make deck choices based off of that, you can either get severely punished for it or you can get rewarded for it. And it's so complex and intricate, and there's so many little minute decisions that you make that just will decide the entire rest of the game. It's
Well, not just that, Magic
so
got the
addicting.
whole such an interesting collectability side to it, because the average person into Magic, like if you compare it to Pokemon cards, for example, people play Magic cards.
Yeah.
So condition isn't all about it. Like it's the cards. People are buying them because they're playing those cards.
Yep.
It's really cool. Like I had never played Magic before, but I've sold Magic cards thousands of times, bought tons and tons of decks and resold them plenty of times, and learned all about like how to tell the cards apart from commons, uncommons, rare, and different things like that. And like going through and building decks to sell decks to people. Like I've sold commander decks and different things like that. And not to mention like the forbidden cards, and there's some crazy stuff when it comes to Magic.
Oh yeah, dude, they're actually doing something really cool. There's a way to play Magic. It's called drafting, or like cubes they call them. So it's like a pool of cards, and you like create packs, like a pack of cards, and then you open those packs and you choose from that card pool, and then you build a deck as you pass them around. They're doing a thing now where you qualify for it online, and then at I think the World Championship this year, they're doing it in person, and you get to open the cards and you keep them. But it's like you can open Black Lotus, which is the card in Magic.
They've reprinted it, right? And yeah.
So they can't reprint that card. It's called the reserve list. So the reserve list cards you can never reprint. They will never do it. So those are the cards that people are like, we're going to invest in these, and we are going to hold them for as long as humanly possible, because they're like it's like $60,000 worth of cards that they're allowing people to open and keep, which is insane. Like I could not imagine being at like a get together and just opening a fake pack and revealing a Black Lotus and being like, holy shit, this is mine now. Like that is just like that would change somebody's life if they open that, you know. It's
But it's
wild.
interesting. The people that are opening them are the type of people that would want to keep them.
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like, well, I didn't spend money on this, so I could keep it and put it in my collection. But it's like,
And I've got,
you know, a
I've got
$20,000
Holy Grail
card.
and
So
it's all
it's like,
random.
the things
That'd
I
be
could
like
do with this.
if I got an NBA Elite 11 cheap, I wouldn't want to sell it. I'd want it to be like the Holy Grail of my collection. But I'd never want to pay for it, you know.
Yeah, so that's a good transition to this next question that I wanted to ask you guys is, what's something that you've always wanted to collect but you never have, whether it's because it was too expensive or whether it was like something you just didn't want to take the dive into? Like, what is something that you've always wanted to, and it could be something that is related to what you collect, but just something that you never picked up.
In terms of like one item, it's that NBA Elite 11. Like, you know, it was always the Holy Grail of PS3 collecting. The one game I never had was always, you know, 10,000 plus. You know, always zeros bigger than my budget.
Yeah.
But in terms of like an entire system, probably the Game Boy. I never like focused on Game Boy because I'm the type of person who only collects complete in box. And like, when I first got into collecting, it was just insane to. You've never seen that stuff complete in box, you know. I didn't want to just buy stuff on eBay when I first started collecting. That was never the way. I've been collecting for 10 years and, you know, I paid off all my debt now and I've only just started buying like the Holy Grails of Game Boy, and I'm not going to collect any more than Pokemon. I'm not going to even touch it. Just because I know that, you know, it's so hard to get. Its condition is a big play into it and everything's expensive. So it just doesn't make sense to me.
For me, like the one thing that I've always wanted to collect that I'm like hesitant to start is I do want to collect toys. Like I do like vintage toys, but like that's just a freaking never-ending thing right there, man. And I just know my personality, and I'll just get it. It'll just be out of hand. And I've already flirted with the idea already because I was like, I have some toys from my childhood that I've just kept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, there are more toys in this set that I don't have. And that's how it started with my video games collection. Same exact thing. I just wanted to buy games that I had when I was a little kid, and I thought that would be enough and I'd be happy. Nah, man, that's not how it happened. Nope. That's not what happened. So I'm afraid to start it because I just feel like it'll get out of hand. The other thing that I used to collect pretty heavily is I have a really big CD collection, actually. I have tons of CDs specifically just from the 90s and to like 2009, which is hilarious because it's literally like you can tell what year I bought an iPod. And that was the fucking end of it. That was the end of it. I have all these CDs up until that day. And then nothing. I don't own anything ever again. It just all stops at 2009. It's like insane. But, again, if I had more space, I would love to go back and complete some discographies for sure. Because there's a lot of bands out there that I have 5 of their albums out of 8 or something like that. So I'd love to go back and just like polish those off. And I would like to do CDs specifically, not vinyls. I know everybody's into the vinyl thing, and I get it.
I have a CDs too. It's so much smaller.
I have a pretty sizable stack that I can see from where I'm sitting. That
I think there might be something psychologically wrong with me because I love CDs and I love PS1 games, and they're the same fucking thing. I don't know what it is. It's something about that fucking format and little discs and the little. I don't know what it is. It just takes me to my happy place because growing up, you know, my favorite time for music was late 90s, early 2000s metal. Oh my God. Just the best metal ever, dude. Amon Amarth, The Haunted, At the Gates, Slayer, Opeth, all the best shit ever came out then. And just PS1 games, man. God, I loved them. And like literally I don't know if this ever happens to you guys, like do you ever have like a game where like you listen to a certain band a lot while you were playing it, and now like if you hear that music it reminds you of like that game you were playing and stuff like that? Like I used to play Nightmare Creatures on PS1, And I remembered listening to freaking Rammstein all the time for fucking some reason during that time period. Like that album Sehnsucht came out right at the same time I got Nightmare Creatures. And I was just listening to that all the time. So at this day, seriously, if I play Nightmare Creatures, I hear fucking Du Hast. And if I fucking hear Du Hast, I see Nightmare Creatures. Like, I can't get it out of my head. They're so together. Like, the memory is so together. I don't know. It's weird.
I
time I
don't.
hear
I always
Duke,
play games with
how
just the
high.
game sound. So if like games are in a certain songs are in a certain game, like you know the Tony Hawk soundtrack or
Yeah.
different things like
Goldfinger.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what brings me to like if I hear Lil Jon and the East Side Boys, I think of Need for Speed Underground 2
You can't help
or
it, dude.
like
The window,
Goldfinger, I think of Tony
the
Hawk.
wall.
Like I like those types of games that had like or like the old wrestling games
Video
that
kill
had
the
those.
radio star. Do you think of Vice City?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, holy shit! Yeah.
Video
Yeah.
kill the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't alive in the 80s, so for me, hearing those songs, it just reminds me of that video game, you know. And
Yeah.
same with a lot of the 90s songs of San Andreas. I just
Like
don't remember them from
like
the
Breaking
90s.
Benjamin and stuff. I think of like the old PS1 like WWF Attitude or Raw or
Yeah.
the SmackDown game. Like those soundtracks to me were just like, oh, they were the best. Just playing old WWF games.
They're- The PS2 games have the fucking best soundtracks, dude. Like you said, Need for Speed games, like Burnout games.
The ATV game like
Oh.
motocross and stuff. Yeah.
So
those-
many of the games, the soundtracks just, oh god.
Dude, even Madden 2004, Yellow Card had way away.
Oh, the
The
Madden
FIFA games have got
soundtracks
great
were
songs. I
so
love all the
good.
FIFA games. All the soundtracks are just like all those songs are iconic. Just talking about video game songs, we've got the song by Powderfinger 5000. It was When Worlds Collide.
Power
It's
Man
just got
5000.
Power
yeah.
Man 5000. yeah.
Just going thinking of video games because
Yep.
these songs in like 3 or 4 different games. It was in the wrestling games. It was in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Oh my god, yeah, yeah. Like, I don't like I didn't really. Well, I guess I probably did, but I can't think of the times where I listened to certain music while playing a game. I think of the time that the song showed up in the game.
Yeah, I'm the
yeah.
same.
That's fair. Yeah, it's like Dragula by Rob Zombie and Twisted Metal 3, I think it was. Like that
Oh,
is like
man.
I just I played it plays like 99% of the time you play that game.
That's-
So
Dude,
it's
that Rob Zombie album is just the best. It's so good.
he's from the town next to where I live. He grew up in the town next door. So it's the only reason that you remember Power Man 5000 is his little brother's band, I'm pretty sure. That's Rob
Wow.
Zombie's brother.
Did not know that.
Some songs got ruined because of video games for me. Like a lot of the Guitar Hero songs, because I just played them so many times. I just skip them these days. And it's like, I don't want to listen to. I don't know. I can't even think of one right
My
now.
Name
but
is
there's-
Jonas by Weezer.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
collectively agree on that.
Yeah, that one's a tough one now.
Yeah, I can't hear 6 by All That Remains without literally seeing the fucking Guitar Hero track in my head.
I literally just had I just had an actual nightmare when you immediately said 6. I was just like, oh god, that's too soon.
Oh, I love that song.
You remember
So
Smack
good,
My
dude.
Bitch Up in by Prodigy and Test Drive 5?
I wasn't big on the test drive games.
Now here's the one that I can't do anymore. It's Barracuda.
Yeah.
Barracuda.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Oh, guys.
Because it was like at the start of the game too, so every time you replay it, it's one of the songs that you start
That's
playing.
why, like, some of the Rock Band games where they made you replay, like, the same set lists as you went or the same songs, it was just like, come on, man. Like, give me some new stuff.
I used to love Miss Murder by AFI, and now I can't listen to it.
Yeah, that's a tough one to listen to now, too. Yeah, Guitar Hero and Rock Band really ruined a lot of songs for me. Now that you're bringing it up, like, yeah, 100%.
I bought the Guitar Hero 3 soundtrack, and I can't listen to it.
So I like
this film? Nah, can't listen to it.
I like Beat Saber because I don't know any of the music. it's all just electronic dubstep shit, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it doesn't. It honestly did the opposite because I do not like that music. Like if you put on dubstep, I would be like, please turn that off.
Yeah.
You know, I would immediately be not anymore. Now after playing Beat Saber for a year, I'm like, well, yeah, this would be freaking sick, dude. I can imagine. It would just
Next
they
thing
totally
you know, you'll be
give me an
vaping
appreciation.
and you'll be owning a
I-
Volkswagen Jetta.
That's right. I got a
And
friend.
you'll be going Sigma and all those other words.
What if he already vapes and owns
I really
a
like
Jetta?
Coheed and Cambria now. I'm just kidding.
Would be already
Welcome
made.
home.
You just insulted
Ding,
him.
ding,
I
ding,
like it.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, there's a lot of music that for me, like I've probably either listened to it too much or it was in too many things that I was doing at the time, and it's like, all right, just turn it off.
Well, I'm blown away. Like, I remember turning on the radio in 1997 and what was on the radio. And if I turn on the radio right now, it's the same fucking shit that was on the radio in 1997. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Like,
but
I'm
guys,
like,
people
are there
these days
people
don't listen
literally
to the
just
radio.
listening to the same fucking like 25 songs for the last 25 years, guys? What the hell is the matter with you?
If
How
you,
does
tur-
that
if you
how
turn
does
on
it
a
not
rock
drive you
station,
insane?
if you turn on a rock station, all you're gonna hear is fucking Aaron Lewis, right here waiting.
Yeah, seriously, it's the same
And
stuff.
then
dude.
Nickelback comes on with, "This is how you reminded me."
Yeah, I'm gonna have. You'll be my Superman. I'm gonna burn me in the hole in my head, and I'm just like, I don't
Dude,
know.
that song in particular takes
love
me
those,
to
yeah.
an exact moment in my life of being at my sister's house. Like, she lived down the street from me and my parents' house. And I had a little pool table that wouldn't fit in our house. So I put it in her basement, and I had a little radio down there, and I would listen to 105.7 The X, and I would just sit there and shoot pool on my little pool table, and that song, every single time I was there, came on. So it just puts me right in that moment.
I feel like part of the reason radio like that is because modern people, young kids, don't listen to radio. You know, radio's
It must be.
like-
Yeah.
you know, if you were 20 listening to radio 20 years ago, it's 40-year-olds listening to it today. So you're gonna get your music you were listening to back in the day. It makes sense.
Easy.
It does make sense, but like I said, it was still a shock. Like I said, like it was like a fucking time machine. Like I turned it on, I'm like, is this Godsmack for real? Are we still doing this? What
And
the
not
hell?
new Godsmack, this is old Godsmack.
Is there new Godsmack? I don't even know.
I
think
read something
there's-
funny yesterday. It was you know, the Mambo Number 5 song, how they mentioned like 20 girls' names.
Yep.
It was a thing, and they showed all the average age of those girls 20 years ago and the average age of them now, and all of them have aged like an average of 18 years. Like Monica's and Pamela's and things like that. Average age of a Jessica went from 14 to like 32 or something.
That's probably a good thing.
Probably, yeah. That's
Yeah,
we might want to keep them.
You know what name's dead forever? Karen. You're never gonna fucking see one again.
Maybe it'll come back in like 50 years though, because the
Nope.
name will eventually it'll disappear because no
It'll
one
be
will be named
nostalgic
Karen
for
anymore.
people.
And then it might come back. This is what happens with names. Like it'll
Might-
get.
Karen is forever ruined.
My friends,
can you imagine-
one of my friends growing up,
named
his
Karen?
mom was named Karen, and she is a lovely woman.
That's bullshit. I would be fucking mad
I'd change
as-
my name.
hell.
The only
if that
Karens I
became
know
a
are Karens.
thing.
I had this picture of boss when
But
the
now-
rumor first started, and she'd be like, "I don't like this new meme. Stop talking about it." Thinking that like we just started it now, like a little workplace. No, this is like a worldwide thing. Sorry,
It is.
and
It's
you're
over.
being one right
You-
now.
I'm with you. I think I would just change my goddamn name. I'd just be like, whatever, dude. Because you're at the point now in your life where if you, like, someone could walk up, put your plate of food on the table and spit in it, and you have to be like, oh, thank you. I don't want to be a Karen. You like this? It must be in your fucking head all the time. Like, never ever complain, never do anything. I'm like, I don't know. I just no way. No way. Name's just it's over. It's over.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's choosing to. I feel like names for kids now are getting a little out of control. Like they are like way far off. They're just like, this is Gemstone, Olivia, whatever. They have
Do you know what the
17
number one
names.
girl's name is today?
The number one
It's-
girl's name?
It's Li''LA, and it's like pronounced Leela or something. It doesn't look like the way it's spelled.
They find different ways to spell different names too. It's like
Yeah.
it's
You know what the
they,
second
like,
one is?
hide little letters in there.
Second one is Stitch.
I might have got it wrong. I'm gonna look it
I
up.
don't know. I don't fucking know. Dude, I want to know how many girls got named Bella after Twilight came out. That's the stat I want to know.
Oh,
How many fucking...
or Edwards or
What was the girl from Frozen? What was the thing? What was her name?
Elsa.
Elsa? I bet you there's a fuck ton of Elsas out there now.
Yeah, 100%. Or Anna's.
That's just funny to me. I wonder
You
what,
can't really
what
name
was the girl from Hunger Games name? What was her name?
Oh,
Hazels or
Katniss.
Harpers
Oh,
or yeah,
Katniss.
there's so many.
Katniss. I don't know if Katniss is going to catch on, but I bet there's some Katniss. I've seen Khaleesi.
Okay. So
Khaleesi
the name
was
is
popular. People started.
so the
naming
name is
their kids
Isla, and it's spelled Isla, and that's the number one name this year. But it confused the fuck out of me because I kept reading it as Isla. Why are people naming it Isla? I don't get it. I had to Google it. Like, how do you pronounce this?
As long as you're not naming your daughter Leroy, I think we're okay.
Well, there could be a Leroy down the line. By the time they're 14, they could.
Yeah, well, I
change,
mean,
you know?
that's on them. Like, if they want to change it after the fact, that's one thing. But if you predispose them for that, then it's like, well,
Damn it, I might have to make a move. But thanks so much for having me on. It's been a
Joe
blast.
looks like he might have somebody named Leroy in his life.
Me?
Yeah, that expression kind of was like concerning. I felt threatened.
What? No.
How dare
This is
you
one of the-
talk
one of
about
the
Leroy
customers.
that way?
He's my
Leroy
best customer.
Jenkins.
If you're a WoW player, Leroy's pretty influential.
Yeah, 100%.
Heck yeah. I can't think of any other Leroys I would know. That's about it. No Leroys in my life, sir.
Just gonna send it.
Yeah. So are you gonna bounce, Figsy?
Yeah, no, I got to make a move, guys. But thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you taking the time.
And thank you for getting up. I know it's early over there, so.
I actually set an alarm and didn't wake up, so I got up late. That's why I was behind.
Oh,
I set an alarm for 8 o'clock and I woke up at 9.
I've done
Oh my
that
gosh.
all too many times.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow morning.
It's probably like set for 8 p.m. or something. I swear I set one. Yeah, look, there it is. It's still there. Didn't go off. It'll wake back up tomorrow. Alright, I'll catch you guys around. Peace and thanks for having me.
Yeah, see you, Figsy.
Thanks, buddy.
I can hang
Oh,
out for as long as you guys want to.
This looks like continuous.
Yeah, this is a weird little screen setup that it's got here.
Good or bad?
You want to keep trying to grab that Marshall?
Yeah, grab the Marshall. Turn it up to 11.
It goes to 11. It's true. You know.
So I'll ask you like one or two more questions to close it out. So on an average night, you know, you get home, you're done work, you don't have anything to do, you eat food, whatever, and you sit down and you're getting ready to play a game. Like, what does an average night to like sit down? What are you playing? Like, what's that look like?
So I mean, it depends. I'm like, my interests are really ADD. Like, I'll get like super hyper focused on one thing for a while, and then I'll just do that all the time, and then kind of just fall off from that for a while and move on to something else. So it really depends on where I'm at. But like lately, I got a couple of those Anbernic handheld devices.
Yeah. Yep.
And just been having a ton of fun loading them up with games and messing around with them, trying to get stuff to work and blah blah blah. And like lately, my go-to is I sit down and I pick up my little handheld Genesis thing and I play friggin' Mega Drive Genesis games for like an hour. And then from there, I decide or not with my girlfriend whether or not she's going to play something on her handheld, on her Switch, or if we're going to watch TV together or whatever. If I'm lucky enough where she's like, I'm going to play on my Switch, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And I can play on the PS5 or something and play a game. But if not, then usually she'll throw something on and I'll either play on my Steam Deck or I got a new PC and I've been playing on that quite a bit lately. And I've been trying to stream more.
Yeah.
So that's like been a priority. Like I'm trying to make sure that I actually stream and I put out some more content other than just the podcast. Because like I'm not really trying to grow a YouTube channel per se or whatever, but at the same time, it is fun to grow.
Like that's the kind of battle that we have is like, we want to see growth, we want to see things do well, but like it's so difficult, like the type of content we create or the type of content that we do. Like it's just like us sitting in a basement talking about X subjects, whether it be movies, whether it be music, whether it be video games, or we tackle some parenting stuff and like just adult life stuff as well. And I think it's important to kind of like I like to sit down, I like to talk to people, I like to get their opinions on things, talk about like deep conversations, like where you can share that moment together of just like being a real human being and like doing that. So like we try and tackle a little bit of everything, and like some people just don't have the attention, or if it's not something they're interested in, no one wants to watch it. So like some of our videos do poorly, some of them do well, and it's like this balancing act of like I don't want to get lost in the making stuff just to make stuff, but I still want it to do well. So I'm trying to have like the balance of like doing it well enough to people where people will watch it and talk about it and comment and interact, but then like I still enjoy talking about it because it's something I have interest in, or it's something that piques my interest, or anything like that.
Comments, just say stuff like Mario 64 sucks.
Yeah.
You know what's the worst game ever? Zelda. I don't mean any of this shit, but people are just going to get mad and start writing shit in the comments. That's the way you do it.
Yeah. The thing I also find on like, being in the YouTube space is like, I feel like people don't even watch the content. They just see the title and like, how dare he? And just
absolutely.
Go right to the comments and like start typing their novel. And you're like, did you watch what I was talking about? Because I said none of the things that the title says. The title is for you to click on it to see what I had to say about it.
Yeah, there'll be a question mark at the end. Like, is the game overrated? And you're like, it's not overrated, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I know. I said it wasn't. I gave it an A+.
Yeah, like, I mean, to be fair, the title that we had for the NES probably is not the best title. It literally is just like, the NES is not good.
I said that.
However,
that's just a crazy thing to say,
just
man.
like
but it's
click
people
it
say
to see.
Well, no, like to qualify that, again, I think that it's all relevant with context, and we talked a bit about it earlier. Like, for somebody like you or me or him, the NES is important because I remember playing it with my dad. I remember playing with my grandfather. I remember how much fun I had. I can appreciate it. But like for my daughter, I sit her down. She's 11 for reference. Definitely never touched an NES before. You sit her down in front of, say, like Zelda, and it's, literally maybe 2 minutes of, what am I supposed to do? What am I doing here? Why am I doing this? Because she's used to Fortnite. And, something that's much, much more immersive, that takes, a more 3D aspect to it, where it's multiple controls at the same time. In context, yeah, absolutely. Nintendo is not good for her. Like, she's not going to appreciate it, but for us, we absolutely do. So it's kind of.
If I had a daughter, or I would give her a 3DS. I would never waste my time on a
3DS, like that's
3DS is where I would give a daughter, because there's so many Animal Crossing games and Story of Seasons and shop games and cooking and cookie shit. And
oh yeah,
that's those games I think, the little Disney games and stuff. That's where I would start a little girl out these days. I would never expect, even back then though, like Nintendo especially, like it had no games targeted for girls, like nothing.
Yeah.
Like maybe like the Little Mermaid, maybe I guess. But even then, that game was freaking hard.
Yes, I think that's the problem with like a lot of the NES games for like the average person that plays Fortnite or whatever. It's like they're just way too difficult.
Oh, you get punished in those games.
Exactly.
That whole concept is like removed from games
Well,
because there's too many people that will just they do not want to overcome difficulty. They don't want to have to overcome anything, and they'll just give up.
Yeah.
And they've realized that it's better to make it easier for people like that, and then offer a harder mode for people who want difficulty than the other way around. Like, if you want to have a bigger audience and sell more games and make more money, that's just the correct approach to having a bigger audience. It's just what it is. There's nothing wrong with it either. Like, I don't think, like, I'm not one of those people who's like, everything should be hard. It should just be like that. I'm like, no, that's, like
Yeah,
kids, especially like little kids should be able to play a game and just have a good time. Like, it shouldn't, when I was a little kid, I'm glad I didn't only have games that were impossible. You know what I mean? Like, I could beat something, and that was fun.
Yeah, like my daughter's 4, and she comes down. She says, let's go play games in the basement. So we'll come down in the basement and we'll put Mario on, and she'll want to play like the first Mario. And the biggest problem we run into in that is she's coming from like Mario Wonder and the Wii U port of Mario, where you can choose your characters and you can play as Luigi or you can play as Princess Peach, and she wants to play as Princess Peach, but I'm like, we can't do that in this one. Like, you have to play as Mario, or if we do 2-player, you can play as Luigi. So,
every little girl wants to be a small Italian man named Luigi.
Yeah. So she'll be like, I want to play like this character, and then I'm like, okay, you can play as Luigi, but I have to die first. So then like this is what it's like having a kid. So like I was playing through and I finally died, and then she goes, yeah, like I had to wait for you to die, and I'm like, well, yeah, I just did, and she goes, no, like, when you die, like then I can play like this stuff, and I was like, wait, what? Like, she just like went on this like thing, like, well, you are gonna die one day, and I'm like, okay, thank you.
Dude, what the?
Wow.
Like she's had to deal with some things, in the past year of, with my mom passing and stuff. So like that's kind of like where she's coming from with that kind of stuff, because we had to explain that stuff to her, and it has really affected her in a different way, like for being as young as she is.
Just traumatizing shit.
So like,
I remember when I was 4 or 5 and I was in my dad's station wagon, and he's like, I'm gonna die someday, and I'm like, fucking for real? I can still remember that. I can remember we were driving home from the YMCA. I can tell you what the road looks like. I remember that moment vividly. It's traumatizing as shit.
She will just like pop off sometimes, where she'll look me in my eyes and be like, yeah, like one day when I'm older and you're not around, and I'm like, hey, hey, I've got enough anxiety as it is. I don't need any more, all right?
No, you have to tell her that by the time she's old, they'll be able to place my brain in a Terminator robot, and I'm going to make sure that she has no boyfriends forever. And I'm going to be a fucking Terminator too. Not only will I be around, but I'll be a Terminator. So that's what you're going to have to deal with.
But she likes to sit down and play like Mario and Mario 3, and she not very long. It doesn't last long, but she'll sit and play, and then it'll be on to the next, and she'll want to try and play this game, and it's like she's just like all over, and it's just okay, just pick something, and you want to play the Turtles. What do you want to play? So that's the hardest part about like a child, but she still likes to play that stuff. I think it's just a matter of just the individual versus like the broad spectrum of
yeah. I'd give her like Metal Gear Solid 5. That way you'd be like, just watch this cutscene. Bam, you got like an hour. Yeah. You can go mow the lawn. You can get some dishes done. You know what I mean? How's that cutscene? Are you all right? Just don't hit start. Just keep watching.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. So, like, I don't know. Will it change when she gets older? Probably. Will she have interest in games? Who knows? But I have a son that'll be here in like 2 months. So when he gets older, we'll see how that pans out.
Boys are pretty reliably into games, I feel. No?
Yeah, I think there's a chance that one of them will fall into, or both of them will fall into the realm of playing games in some capacity, whether it be revisiting old stuff, new stuff, whatever.
Yeah, I remember I used to play Mario Kart all the time with my nieces and stuff. And I remember, like, I would never let them win, ever. Never, ever. I would never let them win. And my sister was always like, what's the matter with you? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, why don't you just let them win? I'm like, because they'll suck forever. I'm like, no, I'm not going to let them win. They're going to have to learn how to play Mario Kart. And they're going to have to get good at it. And they're going to have to beat me for real. I am not going to let them win. I'm refused. And it took them a few years, but they coordinated and they fucking practiced on each other. And they learned how the blue turtle shells worked. And they saved the red ones and the blue ones. And they screwed me over and beat me at the end of the map. And they were laughing and having the greatest time. And I was like, there you go. I didn't have to let you win. And now you're good at Mario Kart. And now every boy you ever meet, it was going to want to marry you because you could actually fucking play. All right? You know what I mean? Like, and like, that made, like, my niece, like, she's pretty good at games, and she's not super into it, but she's like, she put like 1,000 hours into Breath of the Wild, freaking still crushing Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, like, you know, so girls can get into games, but you just can't, you know, just don't try to force them, you know what I mean? Like I said, you just have to let them try to do it, and like I said, I wasn't going to teach them. I'm like, if you want to get better, practice on your own and get better. And that's, to me, that's the way to do it, because my dad had a similar approach to me. Like, he was a musician. And I was like, well, aren't you going to teach me? And he's like, no, I'm not teaching you how to play music. He's like, learn yourself. Music isn't, like, it's a voluntary task. Like, you have to be passionate about it, and you need to want to do it, and you need to want to practice on your own. I'm not going to make you or tell you or say you have to practice an hour on Wednesdays. None of that shit. He's like, if you want to learn, get it and practice on your own and be passionate about it. And then I'm just like, I'm glad he taught me that way, because I learned how to care about things on my own without having someone to make me or force me to. Like, I don't know, like, if he had been like, you have to practice, you have to learn, you're going to take violin lessons on Tuesdays and piano lessons on Thursdays, I would have been like, pound sand, pal. Freaking music's for dweebs. I'm out of here, bro. I would never have done it. I would have been like, no, absolutely not. But because he was like, no, it's up to you. You have to be into that on your own. Like, that was a huge lesson. So, I don't know. As someone with no kids, that would be my wisdom I would offer.
100%. Like, that's like the best approach to go about things. And back to the Mario thing before I forget. There was a fucking great video, like, short that I saw of this kid sitting next to his dad, and he's like, Dad, like, are you ever gonna let me win? And he goes, he like looks at his son, and then it cuts back to the son, it cuts back to the dad, and he's fully in like a race car outfit, and he like looks at the son, closes the shade, and just like goes at it. Like, it was the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Doesn't he look at him and he's like,
I think he flips him off. I think he might like look at his kid and be like, no.
Yeah, hey, yeah, dude, but like, it may sound harsh or whatever, but I don't know. Like, that's how you make things strong.
It's how you make people that will be competent and not insane pieces of human garbage. Basically,
overcoming.
You can't just give people stuff and then like do that their whole lives, because they'll expect it from the world, and that's not how the world works.
And I think it's like super healthy for people to understand that, like, nothing worth doing, like, you just start off as an expert and you're amazing at nothing at all. like, you're not just going to sit down and pick up a guitar and be the best there ever was. Like, you have to learn that, like, it's going to be awkward, and you're going to have to practice, and you're going to have to get better at it. Games are the same way. Like, I like hard games, like, that whoop my ass. Like, I'm excited when I get a game, and I'm like, dude, I can't beat this game. And I play it till I the point where I get frustrated, and I have to shut it off, because the next day when I come play it, I don't know what happens overnight. I don't know how magic works in the brain, but when I come back the next day, I'm just better at it. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how. It's like I couldn't do it yesterday. I slept on it. I came back today and I started it, and I'm like, ooh, okay, yeah, this is actually pretty good. I'm getting better. I don't know how it works. I don't know why. But that feeling is addictive.
Yeah,
and it's like the best feeling in the world. Like I said, like I get addicted to everything. Like I am so addicted to Beat Saber. I play every day to the point where my arms are burning. And then I literally try to play again later because I want to play more, and I'm like, can't. It's so bad because I don't care, because like the feeling of like I can't play a song for weeks and weeks. I just keep trying and I fail, and I keep trying and I fail, and I keep trying and I fail, and then one day I'm like, oh, I can do it. Huh, look at that. It's just crazy, dude. I don't know how that shit happens, but that's why like I love I don't know, just like you got to learn that in life. Like that feeling is the best feeling, overcoming obstacles. And I don't feel people like that. They don't want to be challenged. They don't want to work hard. They don't want to have to get better at things. They just want things to work out with no effort.
In a world full of instant gratification
Correct.
all the time, constantly, it
yeah,
really
like the friends I have who are single, who won't date, they're like, well, I want a girlfriend and I want a wife and all that, but like I don't want to have to like put effort into that shit.
Yeah. I don't want to go.
I don't want to have to like lose weight or
and...
brush my teeth or fucking clean my room and shit.
You mean I have to put deodorant on to get a girlfriend?
Well, they're not that bad, but my point is like they like in order to get what they want, it would require lots of time and effort and energy, and they'd have to go through rejection and frustration and all these things, and they just don't want to deal with that. But the ultimate outcome is you end up extremely happy because you get what you want and you're in a good relationship and life is awesome, so it's completely worth all the effort. But most people just don't want to do that. They don't want to put effort into stuff. They, like you said, it's an instant gratification world.
Yeah.
They want to buy the freaking microtransaction version, and they're just like, give me a waifu, I'll give you 100.
That's an issue that like I find myself doing. Like if I'm playing a new game, you know, that of course it has microtransactions, and it's like if you pay $10 you can cut this corner, and I'm like, I don't know, it might ruin my experience. And then like I play through that part and I can't get past this part, I'm like, you know what, just give me and then I spend the $10 and I get through this part, and I'm like, and then after like I do it, I'm like, what like why did I do that? What was the point of that? I probably could have just pushed through and spent maybe 3 hours more in the game and saved $10. But they gave me the option, and I was stupid enough to take the shortcut and get through it.
Yeah, and if you have like tons of so that's a good analogy, but it also, like, you have to understand those games are designed on purpose to make it unpleasant enough to the point where you'll spend money.
Yeah,
so
like they give you the option,
like that's
just
psychologically,
to tempt you, and knowing you'll give in to temptation.
Yeah, and they do shit like there's all sorts of scummy business practices. You know, they'll give you like $1 equals 99 gems, but everything you want to buy is 100 gems.
Oh, it's
shit like that. You know what I mean?
Arena does that, and it's so
that type of crap. So they do all sorts of weird psychological crap to teach you, but that point is. Yeah, but like you're right, it does ruin the experience. For example, I remember I played Borderlands with my friends, Borderlands 2. We were all playing it together. We were having a really good time, and like we got to the end game, and like a bunch of my friends decided to just like cheat and dupe all the legendaries and give themselves freaking all the best gear in the game in 5 minutes. And I'm like, cool, now you've ruined the game.
Yeah.
And then they're like, what do you mean? They're like, what are we gonna do now? You have all the best gear in the game, so what are we going to do? Where are we going to go upgrade? What are we doing? The whole point of this game is to play the game, get loot, and upgrade your shit. So you have successfully skipped the game, and now you're done. So, well, you're a genius. You've just ruined your own experience. For what? Now, and it's like, and I don't want to do that. So I'm like, so great. So now I can play with you guys, and I'm like just getting carried by a bunch of gods, and I have a little pea shooter over here.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 and you guys are just nuking everything. I'm like, this isn't fun. Like, it's like it ruins the game. So if you take like the struggle, the overcoming the obstacles, the challenge, the playing, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, that is the point. That is the fun. It's a similar thing to collecting that I don't think a lot of people understand, is that collecting a full set is so much more fun than owning a full set. A million times more fun. The action, the process of hunting all the games and making your list and collecting them and getting them in condition and getting them in good prices and filling in the slots and banging out, that's all the fun.
It's all about the journey. Yeah.
Correct. Once you own that full set, you immediately become Figsy and you go, I don't like this shit. It immediately flips on you like that, and you go, I don't want 1,000 FIFAs. I don't need NHL 02 to 14 or not. I just don't need. This is crazy. What the heck? And then you just start selling it all because it's the owning it in the end, the destination. That's not as fun as the journey, like you said. The act of doing is the fun. So I don't know. People like rob themselves of the fun sometimes, and they don't realize it. They think they're gonna give themselves a good time. They're actually ruining their own time.
That's where I think people get like tempted so much, is like the time aspect. Like it takes a lot of time to go out and go to these different stores or these different secondhand stores and look and dig and look through stuff, and you might not find it, and then you go to another place and you find it like a month later, and all you had to do was literally just hop on the internet and just click buy, and you could have it to your door 2 days ago, but instead you waited a month and a half before you got it. But like
that's the fun. I know tons of people
that's the fun of it.
Tons of YouTubers that I know that are going for full sets and for full this and all the other stuff. They don't just buy it on eBay. They're going out to conventions, and they say they want to find it on purpose, and they want in person, and it's just more fun. It's more fun to be excited to see it. Like, well, there it is! Yeah. Yay! The thing I want, as opposed to you, like you said, just be going online, looking it up, and just buying it off eBay, which
finding
is
the cheapest one you could find and being like, "Yep, there we go. That's the one."
Yeah, but that can be exciting too. I'm not saying there's no excitement, because like, so what I do with my eBay is, like I said, I have like a list of hundreds of items that I get notifications for. And, you know, I'm constantly waiting, and then you'll see that finally somebody put one up at like $1 starting bid, and you're like, oh yeah, and you get to watch it all week, and you blah, blah, blah. And then you actually win that for a low, you know, it's $100 game, and you end up buying it for $50 because, you know what I mean? You buy it in that last second, and that your heart's beating out of your chest and all that. So there's excitement to buying things on eBay for sure. It's not like all dull.
That's a journey in it of itself, is, you know, finding something and hoping to strike that deal. Yeah. But like,
and you're still looking, and you're still shopping, and you're still, like I said, I check my lists and I check all that stuff, and it's a similar thing. I'm just not leaving my house.
Yeah, you know? The older we get, the less time we have to spend, you know, going to stores and this and that. And like when you start to have a family, you have kids, like that time gets cut even shorter.
And that's where microtransactions can be sometimes, actually, I'm okay with that, for real.
Yeah.
Like, you know, let's say you have a job and you get paid $50 an hour to work your job. That's how much your time is currently worth where you work, $50 an hour. And you're at home, and like you said, it's $10 for you to skip 30 levels. And leveling 30 levels would take 45 hours of your time. And you're like, even if it's fun, and I do enjoy leveling, and it is good, my friend wants to play. He's already at the end game, and he wants to play. So do I want to spend the next 45 hours of my life grinding and not really enjoying it? Or do I just want to spend $10 to get caught up so I can play with my buddy? Considering that I make $50 an hour and it's 30 hours to do that, $10, this is worth $10 of my time. It is literally worth it is actually stupid of you to spend 40 hours doing that. Now, if it's super fun, maybe it's worth it. Like if leveling is the funnest thing in the world and there's no time constraints or whatever, then maybe that is the way to go. But like one thing in general, if you can't tell, like I'm like so many people are very like polarized or binary on their choices. You either love something or hate something. Something's perfect or something's terrible. Something's the worst thing ever. It's the greatest thing ever. Like, you know, and that's just not how life is. And like everything has multiple different things. You know what I mean? There's good things about things. There's bad things about things. There, you know what I mean? Your situation is different from other people's situations. Your perspectives are different from other people's. Your age is different. Your time is different. Your preferences, your morals. Like people are like, everybody is different and has different outlooks on things. And products are sometimes for you. Products are sometimes not for you. You know, people just, I don't know, man. Like, especially nowadays, it's just like everybody is just so crazy about everything. I'm like, man, like, if you're like, I like Pizza Hut better than Domino's, people will fight you and shit, like, online. They'll be like, what the fuck?
How dare you fucking say that, you nerd?
They have 3 for $5.99 every Tuesday. What are you, a freaking clown? All right, whatever, man.
The internet has turned people into savages for literally no reason. Like, the things that I see people arguing about online it makes my brain hurt sometimes, where it's just like,
especially in the video game scene. I see on Twitter sometimes. I see the stupidest debates and arguments about stuff, and people are vicious.
Yep.
And it's just because somebody will be like you said, they'll be like, I think the Nintendo is overrated, and like people are like, you know, you have destroyed my honor. How dare you say this? It's like, okay, guys, relax. Like, you know, it could be a hot take, but you know, relax. You know.
Hey,
What's
I
going
gotta
on?
bounce. My
All right, man.
actually upstairs, so.
All right, man. Yeah, we're probably wrapping it up in a minute. I'm assuming anyway.
I appreciate you guys coming on, and it was nice talking.
Heck
to you.
yeah, dude, super fun, man. Thanks for chatting.
all right, so I've got one more question that I want to ask you before we wrap this up.
Sure.
What is the most nostalgic games for you? Like maybe like 5 games that are just like, when you think of video games and you think of like your personal history with them, what are like 5 games that are just like, these are the ones that come straight to the front of your mind?
So I mean, literally, my most nostalgic video game of all time is Phantasy Star 1 on the Sega Master System. That game was just life-changing for me. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, I learned how to read from playing that game. I played that game so many times growing up. Like, it's just that music, the graphics, the control, everything about that game hits me in the feels in like an indescribable way. That it's just, I can't even describe it. It's just amazing. I also have super nostalgia for Brave Prince and Musashi on the PS1. I've told you that was like the game that like started my entire PS1 collection. That was the one that like had me with that nostalgic pull, where I was like playing a modern game on my PS4, and I'm like, man, they don't make them like they used to. You know what game I want to play? Brave Prince and Musashi. That's when I started this whole collection. So that one's definitely, yeah, huge, way up there. The Need for Speed, the first one.
Like the Need for Speed?
I'm sorry. Need for Speed Underground. Excuse me. It's the one that I do really like Need for Speed and the ones on PS1, but I didn't play those as much at the time. Like, I play them more now than I did back then. Yeah. But Need for Speed Underground 1, like we were talking about earlier, the soundtrack in that game alone just makes me like, oh my god, I just love that game.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely, for me, it's one of the best. I'm trying to think. Original Contra on NES. I've played that game. Oh my god, I can't even tell you how many thousands of hours, and I don't know if I've ever beat it without cheating. And then the other game that I just can't get enough of that for nostalgia purposes is R-Type. This shmup right here. That was the shmup that made me like fall in love with shmups. It was like the first one that I really played as a kid on the Master System. And God, I just always loved that game so much, and I still can throw that game on today, right now, and have a good time playing it, like anytime. And it's still hard as balls. So
That's that genre that I like never really got into is like the shoot 'em up games. Like for some reason, like I see tons of collectors praising all of these, shmup games and the cute 'em ups and all this stuff, and I'm like, they look cool, but like I think I've played like maybe one or two in my entire life, and I wouldn't even really consider them like the ones that anybody like really talks about. Like I've played Geometry Wars.
that's a good game.
On the
I love
360.
that
Like
game.
I played that one, and it was like, oh, this game's really fun and cool, and that was
That's like
pretty much like the only
like a
one that
twin
I've
stick.
played.
I love that game. So shmups, for me, I like legitimately like. I always enjoyed them, right? But I didn't become like really obsessed with them until I'm gonna say literally only like 2-3 years ago that I actually like really got into them, because my whole life growing up, I just thought they were like quarter muncher games.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand them. I was just like, oh, so you just play and you die and you continue and you play and you die and you continue and you play and you die and you continue. I would just quarter feed them and beat them and be like, well, that was that. And I don't know. It just didn't really do much for me. I just like that was cool, I guess. But like a few years ago, like I started watching YouTube videos of these guys who were going for 1 credit clears, the 1cc. And like I never even heard of that before. I was like, I literally had never heard of the concept of someone trying to beat one of those games on 1 continue. I would just assume that's impossible.
Yeah.
Up to that point in my life, I was just like, that is not possible. People cannot. These games are just too hard. You're going to spend $5 in quarters to beat them. Like that's just how I thought they were. And then I started watching these crazy dudes who were getting 1 credit clears on these games, and it literally like opened my eyes, like blew my mind. I was just like, holy crap. Is this what you're supposed to do with these games? You're supposed to try to beat them without dying? Are you fucking kidding me? This is possible? Like, it blew... Same thing. I had the same, like, revelation watching Kaizo Mario. Had you ever watched anyone play,
I've
insane...
gone deep down that rabbit hole.
So I played Mario, and I'm like, oh, Mario, you jump on the mushroom, you get the coin, woo, it's a great game. And then I saw Kaizo Mario, and I was like, what the hell is this? They're like freaking flying through the air, grabbing turtle shells, bouncing them, doing this crazy shit. I was
insane.
Just like, just took a whole nother level to Mario that I didn't know existed. I was just like, wow, holy shit. And so anyway, I had that same thing going on with shmups. And then I was like, I'm going to try to get a 1cc, dude. And like the first game I beat that I got a 1 credit clear was Ghost Blade HD. So if you're looking for a decent one to try, that was the first one I was able to clear. And it took me a little while. It wasn't super hard, but it was hard. And then I finally did it. And I'm telling you, man, that feeling
I can imagine.
Accomplishment when you finally do it. For me, it was like adrenaline, serotonin. I think my body produced fucking fentanyl. I was like, so good. I felt so good. It was just insane. That feeling of accomplishment. Like I said, I'm addicted to getting better at things. Like anytime I feel like I'm improving, I'm like, oh yeah, almost, I'm going to get there. And I don't know. So to me, like that became super addicting. And so then I started playing another shmup to do that. And I'm playing another shmup to do that. And then what happens is like, if you get good at one, like all those skills translate to the next game. And you know, the better you get at the genre, the better you get at all of them. Like every shmup, you know what I mean? Like you just get better at all of them, like at the whole genre, to the point now where like I can sit down and play any game and just be like,
yeah.
And it's like, you know, my friends or my family, they're like, how the fuck are you doing this? And I'm just like, it's just muscle memory. It's brain training. I don't think about it. I just move. My fucking shit just happens. It's like you said, I don't know how to explain it. Like one day you can't do it. 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 And then one day you're like, oh, is that how you do it? Oh, okay. And you just can. I don't know how else to describe it. That's just how it happens. And so with shmups, unless you're willing to put in a lot of pain and suffering, It's not the funnest thing. But it's like Dark Souls. It's very similar to experience like that. If you're just like someone who put on Dark Souls and no one told you what Dark Souls was, you'd probably be like, fuck this. I'm not doing this. This game is broken. Who the hell? This is ridiculous. But if you're like, no, I'm going to beat every boss in this game and I'm not leaving till I'm done. And you sit there and you grind it out and you beat Dark Souls, it's that same feeling. You're like, I am a video game god. Like, I don't know. It's just, that's just, I love it. So that's, if you want to know why I like shmups, that's the best I can describe it. It's just that addictive feeling.
It makes sense.
But after I beat one, you know what I do? I put on a nice movie game. I put on a farming sim. I play the chillest shit ever. Like, after I stress out and I'm like suffering and trying so hard and anxiety to try to beat one, and when I finally do, I'm like, no more shmups for a little while. We're gonna play an RPG, and I'm just gonna hit the X button. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so.
Yeah. Like I like that your answers weren't like the typical answers for everybody. Like, my answers would probably be like pretty cut and dry, like everybody answers, so to speak. Like, Resident Evil 2 for me is like one of like the max nostalgia games for me. Like, I remember playing that with my friend, like my childhood friend Eric at the time, and like we played it so much, and I've played that game probably 10,000 times. And I can just sit down at any point, sit down and play it, and just enjoy every part of it. I never get tired of it. I can sit down whenever to play it and just not want to put it down.
If you haven't like experienced PS1 games upscaled on an emulator yet, you should. I'm preaching from the heavens about that. I've like gone through and like I said, I've been playing a lot of Steam Deck and stuff like that, and dude, you can play those games in 1080p, man.
Oh,
it looks so good, bro. You got to try it. It breathes whole new life into those old games for PS1 and PS2, Xbox One games and stuff like that. You throw them on the upscaler, I'm telling you, it makes them so fun. It's like playing a brand new game. Like, you won't believe how good it looks.
I'll have to look into it, because like I love playing like those style of games, but then I run into like I like to play them like how they were meant to be played, but I also like the convenience of having it upscaled and look cool. So like it's like a,
again, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You do not have to think that way. That's the number one thing I want to express to people. Like you can like PlayStation and Nintendo. You can like Xbox and PlayStation. You can like physical collecting and digital. You can like both. It's okay. They have a place. They both have a place. I have a massive physical video game collection. I love physical game collecting. And then I have a sick-ass gaming PC with tons of digital games. I got a Steam Deck with tons of digital games. They both like serve a purpose in my life. They're both fine. There doesn't need to be a fight. I don't understand why. Like, it's not like, I don't like, if you're into physical games, what do you want? No, you don't want digital to exist. Like, shut down the servers. I don't want them. No, that's fucking stupid. And if you like digital games, are you really angry that people like me exist who want physical? Like, if you like digital, you really want physical? Go away. I'm not allowed to enjoy it anymore because you don't. That's dumb. That's just stupid.
Like I feel like the internet. You would think the internet would, and like content creation would push the fact that people can have differing opinions and still get along and be in a community together, but like I feel like it's done the opposite.
Oh, it puts people into cliques, and it creates like echo chambers and shit like that. That's all true, and it really does. And echo chambering, that's a huge problem. I swear to God, like half the games that are popular are just popular because somebody else said so. People don't even like these games. Someone told them it's the game that they should buy. So they want it in their collection because it's rare and expensive. They don't really care about the game. They just want it because it's popular or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's weird.
It
It is a big problem. And like when I asked you like what your most nostalgic games were, like I could tell that every answer you gave me was because it was actually nostalgic for you. You had the connection to that game, versus if I asked somebody else that question and they tell me like, oh, just Metroid for the NES, it's just a classic, and like that's their answer, and it's like, okay, like how many times have you played it, or like what was the first time you played it? And they're just like, oh, like I just have so many memories, I can't even think of them. And like they just kind of like give you the basic answer just because they know that that game is very well praised for the console, and they're like into collecting it, and they actually have zero nostalgia for it, and the game means nothing to them.
No, that's true. I feel like there's a lot of people who just say what they think is popular.
They want to fit in. They want to belong somewhere. That's a
and their opinions would be the exact opposite if it was not the case.
Yes, exactly. Like,
but there's also nothing wrong with being like a generic Jane and just being like, dude, I fucking love Zelda. Nothing wrong with that. Like literally nothing. Like I think Link to the Past is like seriously one of the best games ever made. I don't care. Like that's my favorite Zelda game, and I know that's like a lot of people's favorite Zelda game, and that's fine. To me, it's the best damn game. I don't care if a lot of people think so too. That's fine. You know, so it's not like, you know, like you said, just be authentic. Just be real. I don't like people who I don't believe like play games. Talk about games a lot. I don't fucking believe they play them. I just don't. I do not believe they play them. From the way they talk about the games, from the way they show off the games, it doesn't seem like they play them that much. And you know, I'm guilty. I have so many games I own that I haven't played. So I'm not like saying I've played all my games or whatever, but I play a lot of games. And I'm into it, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have, if I had no fucking responsibility, I'd be 550 pounds. I'd be just sitting in a diaper, and I'd be playing these games, just shitting my pants all day. That's what I'd be doing. That would be my life if I could live that dream.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you Figsy, spending the time to come on and, you know, have a blast with us here. You guys are our first guests. Where can they find you? What, given your whatever stuff you need to...
I don't even know what you're talking about. So, yeah, my name is Joe Rad. I'm a co-host of the PlayStation Collectors Podcast. I don't think we ever introduced ourselves. Figsy Games is my co-host. I also co-host with Radical Reggie. He's not on all the time, but he's on as much as he can be. He's a busy man. We do our show every Thursday night on X, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm Joe Rad 18 on X, Joe Rad Official on YouTube. And we do the show Thursday nights, usually about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tomorrow night. And tomorrow night we have RGT85 coming on the show. So that's going to be a badass show. Yeah, it's going to be really cool.
That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.